When the wealthy family came to adopt, my sister decisively left with them, leaving only me to rely on my grandmother. She thought she would enjoy wealth and splendor from then on, but the wealthy family's son turned out to be a madman who abused her daily. The parents were biased, only scolding and beating her. In the end, she went insane, stabbed the entire family, and was arrested by the police. Meanwhile, I became the youngest academician at the Agricultural Academy. Developed high-end wheat varieties, was nominated for a special award, and had a boundless future. My sister fled and stormed into the awards ceremony, killing me with hatred in her heart. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the wealthy family adopted me. My sister rushed into our grandmother's arms first, her eyes filled with venom. "Little sister, this time, it's your turn to go to hell." But she didn't know, no matter which path she chose, without using her brain, it would only lead to death. And my dream has always been just one: develop agriculture, change the world. 1. Have you made up your minds? Who wants to come with me? Inside the shabby little house stood a couple dressed in splendid attire. The woman gazed at us tenderly and asked softly. They were the prestigious Fu family from Ningqing, here to choose one child between my sister and me for adoption. Su Yinglong froze momentarily, her eyes flashing with wild joy before she shoved me aside and threw herself into Grandma's arms, pouting, "I want to stay with Grandma." The woman turned her gaze to me, her eyes crinkling warmly as she said gently, "Then it's you who'll be coming with us, is that right?" Su Yinglong chimed in from the side, "Yes, yes, let the little sister go home with you." Grandma was rarely treated with such affection by Su Yinglong. Somewhat taken aback, she awkwardly reached out to pat the girl's head. Before this, Su Yinglong had despised Grandma for being poor, always ordering her around and calling her an old hag. Even when she craved snacks in the middle of a stormy night, she would wake up her elderly grandmother and order her to go buy things. Grandma found it somewhat strange. She knew that Su Yinglong despised the poor and admired the rich, always dissatisfied with their family's poverty. Why was it that when the wealthy man came to their home to adopt a child, contrary to expectations, Su Yinglong chose not to follow the wealthy family's departure, but to stay at home? Grandmother couldn't understand why Su Yinglong made the unprecedented choice to remain in this impoverished household, but I knew the reason all too well. Because both Su Yinglong and I had been reborn, I knelt on the ground and kowtowed deeply to Grandma 3 times. "Grandma, thank you for taking care of me all these years. If I ever get the chance, I will repay you." After kowtowing, I stood up. I walked calmly toward the Fu couple. "I'll go with you, too." In her past life, her sister took the lead, rushing into the arms of the Fu couple and decisively choosing to leave with them. She thought that by entering the wealthy Fu family, she would henceforth enjoy a happy, princess-like life. Little did she know, the Fu family had ulterior motives for adopting a daughter. The Fu family had a son named Fu Jing, who was dignified and handsome in appearance. What a pity! He's a manic-depressive lunatic. When her sister Su Yinglong entered the Fu family, what awaited her wasn't the meticulous care of wealthy parents or her brother's domineering pampering, but rather the abuse of a madman. Seeing Fu Jing's condition had stabilized somewhat, the Fu parents decided to send him to school. Worried he might struggle alone, they resolved to adopt a child. On her first day entering the Fu household, Su Yinglong was filled with joy, eager to build a good relationship with Fu Jing. However, Fu Jing detested the sudden appearance of a stranger in his home. Far from welcoming her with a smile, he directly slapped Su Yinglong across the face. The Fu parents were unfazed by this behavior and paid no attention to the swelling on Su Yinglong's face. They merely issued a cold command for her to keep an eye on her older brother. At school, her classmates similarly looked down on Su Yinglong for being an adopted daughter. The crown prince of the school, Zhou Chongji, even took the lead in bullying Su Yinglong, making her school life utterly miserable. After returning home, whenever Fu Jing's parents discovered he had an episode at school resulting in self-injury, they would whip Su Yinglong with a cane and make her kneel all night as punishment. Su Yinglong had a hard life. In contrast to her, my life was very peaceful. After Su Yinglong left, Grandma devoted all her unconditional love to me. I studied diligently at school every day, and after school, I helped my grandmother sell baked sweet potatoes. Although life is tough, I feel truly happy. Later, an academician from the Academy of Agricultural Sciences came to inspect our school and immediately took a liking to me. Living up to expectations, I successfully entered agricultural school, joined the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, conducted experiments under the academician's guidance, and developed high-end wheat varieties. This even led to my nomination as the youngest candidate for the top science and technology award, a bright future with boundless prospects. Driven to madness by torment, Su Yinglong stabbed her entire family and was arrested by the police. It's just a pity I couldn't make it onto the podium. On the day of the award ceremony, Su Yinglong escaped from prison. Seeing me surrounded by the crowd at the center, she turned green with envy and stabbed me over a dozen times in a frenzied attack. So in this second chance at life, she chose without hesitation to stay by Grandma's side, determined to push me into the abyss of the Fu family. As I stepped out the door, I glanced back one last time. Grandma gazed at me with reluctant longing, her face full of unwillingness to part. Meanwhile, my sister Su Yinglong leaned against Grandma's embrace, her eyes fixed on me with nothing but pure venom. She sneered coldly, "Little sister. This time, it's your turn to go to hell." She was certain that once I entered the Fu family, I would suffer the same torment as her in her past life. But doesn't Su Yinglong, who has already died once, understand by now? No matter which path she chooses, a brainless person like her has only one fate, death. 3. Su Yinglong guessed right. From the very first day I entered the Fu household, I knew Fu Jing was a complete madman through and through. My parents brought me home and led me to a handsome young man with deep, dark eyes. They looked at Fu Jing and said softly, "Xiao Jing, from now on, she will be your little sister. At school, she'll take care of you." With that, Mrs. Fu pushed me forward, presenting me to Fu Jing like some kind of toy. "From now on, your only task is to take good care of your brother. Don't let him suffer even the slightest harm. Understand?" I looked at the boy before me. Understood. After the Fu family parents left, Fu Jing lazily walked up to me, looking down at me with disdain. After a long pause, he sneered, "What kind of trash dares to call herself my sister?" The next moment, he reached out and forcefully slammed my head onto the table. It made a loud thud. His gaze was filled with violence, looking at me with contempt as if I were an insignificant ant. Idiot. At this moment, Fu's mother, who had forgotten something, happened to turn back. She saw me in a sorry state, with Fu Jing gripping my neck and pinning me on the table. She didn't show any surprise. After retrieving her item, she passed by Fu Jing, glanced at me, and said indifferently, "Fu Qiushi, keep a close watch. Don't let your brother get hurt." Choked by the neck, I could only roll my eyes to look at Fu Jing and softly replied, "Understood. I'll take good care of him." Watching Fu Jing's parents appear concerned yet actually indifferent towards him, I think Fu Jing is pitiful, truly pitiful. Fu's parents were busy with business trips and left quickly. After confirming they had truly left, I reached out, grabbed Fu Jing's hair, and yanked it down hard. My voice was calm. "Let go of me, you brainless lunatic." Fu Jing winced in pain from my movement. He involuntarily loosened his grip, glaring at me angrily. "How dare you insult me? I'll tell Mom and Dad and have you kicked out." I sidestepped Fu Jing, curving my eyes slightly as I smiled gently. "Mom saw everything just now. You were pinching me, and I didn't even dare to resist, so how could I possibly dare to insult you, brother?" As we went upstairs, I warned Fu Jing, "You'd better behave yourself and not cause any trouble before our parents get back." After saying that, I ignored Fu Jing's incredulous expression and walked away directly. Let Fu Jing rage outside. Slamming the door so hard it shook the heavens, I remained completely unmoved. For Su Yinglong wasn't content with just pushing me into the abyss. She started a live stream, putting on a fragile act, tearfully holding up her phone to film. With her pure appearance and disheveled black hair, Su Yinglong looked even more innocent. Pitifully, she said, "My sister and I were raised by our grandmother since childhood, and I have deep feelings for her. Choosing between a life of luxury in a wealthy family and the long-term companionship of family bonds, because grandma's health isn't good, I ultimately decided to stay by her side, hoping to spend more time with her." After saying this, Su Yinglong paused and let out a bitter laugh. But my younger sister chose to enter the wealthy family without even looking back, showing no concern whatsoever for how grandma would fare afterwards. I truly believe she's a cold and heartless person. Watching the live stream gain more and more viewers, after hearing Su Yinglong's words, many people followed the public opinion and mercilessly criticized me as an ungrateful wretch. Su Yinglong quickly added, "I'm not saying my sister's approach was wrong. Of course I understand that choosing wealth when given the option is human nature. I can understand her actions, of course." Su Yinglong tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said softly, "I'll always stay by grandma's side." Su Yinglong stared at her phone screen, revealing a smile as pure as the only little white flower growing in a desert. She clenched her fists as if cheering herself on. All live well together with grandma. Seeing Su Yinglong's innocent and harmless appearance, many netizens felt heartache for her. Her livestream was also recorded and spread as a video. For a time, everyone praised her as a little white flower blooming from the mud, and I was the greedy and opportunistic ingrate. 5. Unsurprisingly, almost all the students at school had seen this widely circulated video. Young Master Zhou Chongji was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He had never seen such a stubborn girl who, when faced with a choice between money and family, unhesitatingly chose family. Not only that, but she was also strong-willed and harmless. In contrast, my snobbish sister, who despises the poor and fawns over the rich, appears even more malicious and cunning. Zhou Chongji had always looked down upon worldly people like me, so he brought his gang and arrogantly cornered me at the restroom entrance. Zhou Chongji squatted halfway before me, smoking, looking down at me with disdain. He blew smoke into my face. Look at you, how dare a filthy insect like you deserve to study in this school. Zhou Chongji flicked the ash off his cigarette, then pressed the still burning tip directly onto my arm. I was held down, unable to move. I could only watch as Zhou Chongji's cigarette burned into my skin with a sizzling sound, quickly raising a red, swollen blister. Seeing this, the surrounding boys erupted in mocking jeers. Su Yinglong was called over and happened to witness this scene. Immediately, she widened her eyes, covered her mouth in shock, and exclaimed, "How could you do this?" Zhou Chongji looked up, lazily stood up, walked to Su Yinglong's side, and chuckled, "Hey, little one. Young master here is helping you get revenge. Don't you like it?" Su Yinglong swiftly glanced at me, concealing the triumph in her eyes. Then, she stomped her foot and glared at Zhou Chongji angrily. "I don't like this, it's too much." Zhou Chongji watched Su Yinglong scrunch her nose, let out a mocking laugh, grabbed her arm, and pulled her shoulder to walk out. "Don't like it? Next time I'll try a different approach." Su Yinglong's voice was sweet and coquettish. "Zhou Chongji, how could you treat a classmate like this? It's not allowed." Rounding the corner, Su Yinglong glanced back stealthily, casting me a contemptuous look. Naturally, she was smug. In her past life, Zhou Chongji was the one who bullied her the most at school. This lifetime, with their roles reversed, Zhou Chongji ended up falling for her and helped her bully me instead. But, sister, to live a second life, relying on men, is this the only trick you've got? 6. During Fu Jing's first few days at school, he behaved calmly, kept to himself, and didn't cause any trouble. But after handing in the exam papers, when I returned to the classroom, I found the place in complete chaos. Fu Jing's desk had been overturned, with books scattered all over the floor. The person who paid respects is no longer here. The classmates' eyes still held fear. They said, Fu Jing was sitting perfectly fine, then suddenly went mad in an instant, smashing everything within reach. I found Fu Jing in an empty classroom, with teachers hesitantly standing at the doorway, none daring to enter. He sat calmly on the only stool in the center of the classroom, with unfathomable violence hidden beneath his eyes. Su Yinglong witnessed this scene, and a flash of venomous hatred crossed her face. The scenes of being tortured by Fu Jing's madness in her past life were still vivid in her mind. She screamed in terror, "Fu Jing is a lunatic. He's sick." After taking care of Fu Jing for so long, how could she not know that people experiencing bipolar episodes shouldn't be provoked? I stepped forward and slapped Su Yinglong hard across the face, ordering her, "Shut up, don't speak." I slammed her against the wall. Su Yinglong's eyes widened as she was about to scream, but the next second, out of the corner of her eye, she saw Zhou Chongji approaching down the corridor with his entourage. Su Yinglong's eyes flickered as tears began to fall, sobbing as she said, "How could you bully me like this?" Zhou Chongji witnessed the scene, his jaw tightening in anger as he stormed over. "Hey, Fu Qiushi, are you looking to die?" But I completely ignored Zhou Chongji. Turning around, I stepped into the classroom. No one dared to enter and forcefully slammed the door behind me. Facing Fu Jing's suddenly raised terrifying gaze, with calm eyes, I extended the medicine bottle in my hand. "Take the medicine." Fu Jing's voice was icy as he said bluntly, "Get out." Seeing me approach step by step, Fu Jing's fingers curled slightly. The next moment, he stood up, grabbed my neck, and slammed me to the ground. Fu Jing's eyes were bloodshot as he growled from his throat. I said, "Get out." Given the circumstances, I wasn't the least bit surprised, but this is a school, not the Fu household, not a place where Fu Jing can act recklessly as he pleases. Having worked in the fields with my grandmother for years, if nothing else, my strength is truly formidable. Without a word, I pried open Fu Jing's grip, seized him by the collar, and flipped him straight onto the ground, pinning Fu Jing down. I enunciated each word slowly. I said, "Take your medicine." Fu Jing was having a bipolar episode at that moment and couldn't listen to a word I said. He struggled to get up. "How dare you treat me like this? I'll tell Mom and Dad to kick you out." My voice was icy. "Suit yourself. If it weren't for the fact that Grandma owed the Fu family a debt of gratitude that needed repaying, I would never have obediently left with the Fu family." Fu Jing couldn't outmatch me. With a fierce glare, he opened his mouth and bit down hard on my arm. He showed no mercy, and in an instant, blood gushed from my wound. But I wasn't about to indulge him. I threw a powerful punch to his face, covered in blood, and grappled with him, having just vented his anger. Fu Jing had already exhausted his strength by now. In the end, I pinned him down with his hands twisted behind his back, forcing him to swallow the medicine. Fu Jing glared at me with hatred. "Fu Qiushi, you're insane." I slapped him mercilessly. "You're the insane one, moron." 7. Because this time Fu Jing had an episode at school. Almost everyone knew Fu Jing had bipolar disorder. Su Yinglong even spread rumors at school, saying Fu Jing was a madman, violent and cruel, and everyone should stay away from him. Facing Zhou Chongji's inquiry, tears immediately welled up in Su Yinglong's eyes as she said tearfully, "Fu Jing is a terrifying person. I've seen him bully others before. I just wanted to keep my classmates away from him for their own safety." Upon hearing this, the subtle discomfort in Zhou Chongji's heart instantly dissipated, and he found Su Yinglong even more kind-hearted. He pulled Su Yinglong into an embrace and declared boldly with a wave of his hand, "Don't be afraid, stay with me. I won't let anyone bully you." Hearing this, Su Yinglong showed a shy expression. She blushed, lightly hitting Zhou Chongji's arm, and coquettishly said, "What are you talking about?" It was precisely because of these words Su Yinglong had been spreading. Fu Jing was already unsociable, and now, no one dared to get close to him. Only I, as usual at school, kept an eye on Fu Jing, making sure he took his medicine on time. Fu Jing was very impatient with me, scolding me more than once to get lost. I watched Fu Jing swallow his medicine, took the bottle, and turned away. "Didn't want to be near you anyway." Because last time when Fu Jing had an episode, I impatiently slapped Su Yinglong. Zhou Chongji saw it and thought I was bullying Su Yinglong, which made him despise me even more. At school, I often found my desks and chairs scribbled with words like bitch and slut using markers. When going to the cafeteria, people would intentionally bump into me, causing my food to spill all over me. Even when I went out briefly, I would return to find snakes, mice, or cockroaches in my backpack, sometimes dead, sometimes alive. Saw me freeze. Zhou Chongji leaned against the windowsill, laughing uproariously with his lackeys. I remained expressionless, walked over, and directly stuffed the thing back into his uniform collar exactly as it was. Zhou Chongji screamed in fright, jumping and shaking the mouse out of his clothes, cursing at me. "Are you insane?" Without saying a word, I turned and went back to my seat. Zhou Chongji's gaze was sinister as he glared at me. "I'm going to kill you." 8. Zhou Chongji and his group had numbers on their side. I always avoided them. If I could dodge them, I'd have a peaceful day. Can't escape. If they catch me, I'll have to endure some humiliation. But I never begged Zhou Chongji for mercy, even when he ground his foot on my hand, looking down at me arrogantly. "Tisk, Fu Qiushi, I see your mouth is quite stubborn." I was in so much pain that cold sweat poured down, but I refused to make a sound. Finally, Zhou Chongji found it boring and turned to leave with his entourage. Slowly getting up from the ground, I leaned against the wall, staring at Zhou Chongji's retreating figure, and hoarsely said, "Zhou Chongji, you'd better kill me if you get the chance, otherwise, I'll drag you down to hell with me." Hearing this, Zhou Chongji turned back with disdain. "Dumbass, think you're tough just for spouting some tough talk." Immediately after, there was a burst of uproarious laughter from a group of boys. Fu Jing often witnessed Zhou Chongji bullying me, but he would just give me an indifferent glance before turning away with complete apathy. Seeing this, Su Yinglong patted my face with a mocking smile and sneered, "Fu Qiushi, you're so eager to be Fu Jing's lapdog, but he's never cared about you at all." I don't have the strength to deal with Su Yinglong right now. I can only lean against the wall to catch my breath. After catching my breath, I lifted my foot and kicked Su Yinglong hard. She screamed in fear, took a few steps back, and glared at me angrily. "Bitch, why aren't you dead yet?" Then, as if struck by some amusing thought, she suddenly burst into giggles. She gloated triumphantly. "It's not time yet, my dear sister. Just wait to be plunged into a long, sunless nightmare." 9. Fu Jing and Zhou Chongji got into a fight. By the time I arrived, they were already grappling fiercely in the classroom. both bearing injuries. One was from the prominent Fu family of Ningqing, the other was the young master of the Zhou family. These two started fighting, and no one dared to intervene, fearing they might get hurt in the crossfire. The homeroom teacher stood at the door, anxiously pacing in circles. I glanced at Su Yinglong, who was hiding by the door, covering her mouth in excitement as she watched the drama unfold. It's obvious that these two people, who normally have no interaction, wouldn't fight for no reason. She must have instigated it. Su Yinglong saw me appear and curled her eyes smugly, revealing a row of white teeth. The Fu family parents are back from their business trip. When they find out Fu Jing got into a fight, guess what they'll do? Little sister, you're done for. The sight of Su Yinglong irritated me. I raised my hand and slapped her hard. Done for. Without Zhou Chongji here to protect you, don't you realize you're about to get beaten? After finishing, I completely ignored Su Yinglong's screams behind me. I stepped into the classroom without hesitation. Fu Jing's bipolar disorder flared up again at this moment, his eyes bloodshot as he tightly gripped Zhou Chongji's neck. Zhou Chongji wasn't one to back down either, pinning Fu Jing to the ground and punching him repeatedly in the face. I stood aside, grabbed a long stick, and mercilessly smashed it onto Zhou Chongji's head. With a loud clang sound, struck by this unexpected blow, Zhou Chongji's eyes rolled back as he lost consciousness. I flung the stick away, feeling immensely satisfied. The teacher outside screamed in terror at the sight. Fu Qiushi, this child is way too bold. Quick, get Zhou Chongji to the infirmary. Seeing Zhou Chongji pass out, Fu Jing still stubbornly refused to let go, his hands clenched around Zhou Chongji's neck. I was afraid he might actually strangle Zhou Chongji to death. I had no choice but to hold Fu Jing down, prying his fingers open one by one while soothing him. Calm down, Fu Jing. Fu Jing's eyes darted around before glaring at me viciously, seemingly wanting to throw a punch my way too. I preempted him, twisting Fu Jing's arms behind his back and restraining him. Calm down. Unwilling to yield, Fu Jing struggled a few times before suddenly biting down on my arm. Damn it, biting again. Is he part dog or something? I spoke rapidly. Right now I'm your only acquaintance at school. I have your medication. I can take good care of you, so please calm down. Okay, be good. Be good. I won't let anyone bully you again. Listening to my comforting words, perhaps it was the taste of blood in Fu Jing's mouth that made his crimson eyes glare at me fiercely before he slowly loosened his bite. 10. The incident blew up into a huge deal. The teacher summoned both sets of parents to the school. The Zhou parents looked at Zhou Chongji's injuries and smiled thinly at the Fu family. Your adopted daughter here has quite the vicious streak. Hearing this, Father Fu shot me a sidelong glance and mercilessly slapped me hard across the face. Instantly, my cheek swelled up, and I could almost taste the faint metallic tang of blood from the broken skin inside my mouth. Father Fu said with a smile, yes, this child is beyond discipline. I hit too hard. My apologies. In front of the Zhou family, Father Fu berated me sternly and harshly. Immediately, he told me to get out, saying he would have a good talk with the Zhou family. Just as I was leaving, Father Fu patted my shoulder and said softly, well done. Seeing me walk out with a swollen, red face, Su Yinglong's eyes curved with delight as she giggled triumphantly, covering her lips mockingly. Sister, you're done for. You'll get the whip when you go back, and kneeling is punishment. None of it will be spared, and when that madman has an episode, you might end up suffering terribly at his hands. Just seeing her irritates me. Grabbing Su Yinglong by the throat, he slammed her against the wall and glared coldly. Watch your mouth. He's ill, not insane. Su Yinglong was being choked by me, struggling to breathe as teardrops welled up uncontrollably in the corners of her eyes. Her face flushed crimson as she kept slapping my hand. Truly Fu Jing's well-trained dog, so fiercely protective of its master. At that moment, Zhou Chongji walked out of the office with a darkened expression. Seeing me choking Su Yinglong, he stepped forward and forcefully pulled us apart, his gaze impatient. Bullying your sister again, how vicious. The deep-seated grudge from that time I hit you with a stick. At this moment, Zhou Chongji's gaze upon me was icy cold. He stared at me coldly. You've really crossed the line this time. Fu Qiushi, with curved eyes, I looked at the two people before me and said cheerfully, want to kill me? What a pity. Too late. Fu Jing walked out calmly from behind the door. Lifting his eyelids slightly, he grabbed me by the collar and pulled me outside. Fu Qiushi, let's go. Witnessing this scene, Su Yinglong widened her eyes in shock, her expression almost completely disbelieving. Impossible. When did you become so close with him? I ignored it. I shook off Fu Jing's hand and frowned at him. Are you sick? Fu Jing paused mid-step, his expression awkward as he looked at me. He moved his lips but said nothing. Lift your leg and walk straight forward. I warily sized up Fu Jing, sensing something was off about him. Unusual events always signal hidden trouble. After a long pause, Fu Jing finally took a deep breath. I heard it, when that white lotus called me crazy. You scolded her. Why are you helping me? Fu Jing seemed somewhat confused. I haven't been kind to you. I let out an "oh" and said, I just don't like her and wanted an excuse to teach her a lesson. Besides, I frowned, staring at Fu Jing with genuine confusion. I've always called you crazy. 11. Fu Jing seemed to have unilaterally started a cold war with me. This is my deduction, because when I previously supervised Fu Jing taking his medicine, he still mocked me. Idiot. Sometimes he acts against me, deliberately knocking over the medicine, but now, Fu Jing doesn't even glance at me, coldly taking the medicine and swallowing it in one gulp, though I don't know what madness has taken hold of him again. But I find this version of Fu Jing quite easy to handle. After he took his medicine, I simply returned to my seat to continue working on the problems. Thanks to Su Yinglong's choices in this lifetime, although Fu Jing is a madman, the Fu family never shortchanges me financially. In my previous life, I attended school during the day and helped my grandmother sell baked sweet potatoes at night. Without money, I couldn't bear to buy supplementary teaching materials. The workbooks were bought at low prices from senior students, filled with scribbles and notes, repeatedly practiced several times before being reluctantly set aside. Now, there's a housekeeper taking care of things at home, and a chauffeur handles the school commute. Every month, Mother Fu transfers a large sum of money into my account. I don't need to worry about running out of money at all. In contrast, Su Yinglong's life was much more financially strained. Grandma was getting old, braving the bitter cold wind every day to sell roasted sweet potatoes, yet barely earning any money. She relied on poverty subsidies to get by each month, but having lived a life of privilege in her past existence, suddenly returning to a life of scarcity left her in utter disarray. Su Yinglong already had poor academic performance, making her future prospects bleak. Now, she can only cling to Zhou Chongji's affection for her to regain a shred of faith in the future. Occasionally returning home, Su Yinglong would often angrily scold her grandmother. You old thing, why can't you come up with money? Go out and earn some quickly. Considering grandma's advanced age, I worried that overexertion might harm her health. I deliberately saved up my monthly allowance and, taking advantage of Su Yinglong's absence, slipped the money to grandma. I told her, buy whatever the household needs, but don't spoil Su Yinglong, and don't let her keep ordering you around. Be good, grandma. Grandma held my hand, her cloudy eyes looking at me with guilt. Chosher, it's grandma's fault for being useless. When you're old, you can't earn money, and instead have to send you away. Chosher, don't let anyone bully you out there. My eyes grew warm as I squeezed grandma's hand back, smiling. Grandma, I'm living very well now. Mom and dad treat me well. And so does my brother. No one bullies me. Only then did grandma seem to set her mind at ease, patting my hand slowly. That's good, that's good. When leaving, grandma held on to me and insisted on stuffing a bag of sweet potatoes into my hands. These are grown by grandma herself, healthy. Take them back for your parents to eat. I couldn't refuse, so I had to take it in my hands. Grandma, I'll come see you next time. Take good care of yourself. Grandma stood at the door, watching me leave as she waved cheerfully and said, I'll be waiting for you. When I got home, I saw Fu Jing sitting on the couch downstairs, flipping through a book impatiently. Seeing me return, his tone carried some displeasure. Where did you go? Why didn't you wait for me after school? Noticing me carrying a dirty plastic bag with soil stains into the house, Fu Jing's expression grew even more disdainful. What's this? It looks filthy. I couldn't be bothered with Fu Jing and walked into the kitchen to wash and dry the sweet potatoes. Fu Jing followed me in, crossing his arms and standing arrogantly to the side. Why did you buy these? I went to see grandma today. These are the ones she grew. Fu Jing had heard about me and snorted through his nose. Seeing me start cooking, he stiffened his neck and reluctantly said, Hey, Fu Qiushi, I want a taste too. I didn't add any seasoning. Just boiled the sweet potatoes in plain water. Fu Jing frowned, picked at the skin with a fork, and tentatively took a bite. Just barely acceptable. The taste is alright. Your grandma grew them well. Watching Fu Jing's awkward demeanor, for the first time ever, I didn't find him quite so detestable. As we went upstairs, I casually patted his head like petting a dog. Finish it, don't waste. Fu Jing widened his eyes and gasped sharply, Fu Qiushi, how dare you? 12. Since the last time his parents were called to school, Zhou Chongji reluctantly behaved himself for a while, but every time I passed by, I couldn't help but notice, his gaze at me was icy cold, as if plotting something. Similarly, Su Yinglong also quieted down, yet, her gaze remained as venomous as ever. Why don't you get confined? Why didn't you get beaten? Fu Qiushi, how exactly did you manage it? I looked at her and smiled faintly. Want to know? The next moment, gripping the back of her neck, I stood on the stairs, leaned down, and whispered by her ear, then get on your knees and beg me, sister. The answer is actually quite simple. Understand clearly what each character desires. The Fu family parents were too busy with work, so they wanted someone to take care of their child at school and ensure a stable life. Fu Jing had been neglected since childhood, so he hoped to have companionship and receive care. I just hope my school life passes quietly. Use your brain to find the balance between these three. Take the initiative to put in some effort. The problem will be easily solved. Unfortunately, in her previous life, Su Yinglong was too selfish, only thinking of herself and unwilling to compromise in the slightest. This is the difference between her and me. Su Yinglong's body trembled with anger as she glared at me hatefully. A moment later, she took a deep breath. Forcefully suppressing the anger in her heart, she sneered, just wait and see. Fu Qiushi, without grandma by your side, do you really think Academician Fan would choose you as his disciple in this lifetime? Keep dreaming. In this lifetime, I will definitely live better than you. 13. The weather turned bitterly cold right after Christmas. It was rare for Ningqing to have snowfall. After Su Yinglong's harsh words to me last time, she's now doubling her efforts to please Zhou Chongji. After all, winning Zhou Chongji's favor and becoming the fiancé of the Zhou family's crown prince would bring immense prestige. This was an honor she wouldn't have dared to dream of in her past life. As the new year approached, the school was decorated with lanterns and red banners, giving the campus a fresh new look. I knew this was the school administration's effort to prepare the environment for the arrival of the academician from the Agricultural Academy who would be giving a speech. As for me, I continued my routine life, shuttling between school and home. Occasionally when Su Yinglong wasn't home, I'd go visit grandma. This peaceful life suits me just fine. But ever since Fu Jing didn't find me waiting after school last time, he's been keeping a very close eye on me. When I went to visit grandma, this young master would sit in the car, condescendingly waiting for me to come out, under the pretext of being afraid I'd cause trouble. Me, who's the real troublemaker here? Sometimes when Fu Jing grew impatient waiting, he'd follow me inside with a look of disdain. A pampered young master like Fu Jing did seem out of place in this cramped rental unit in the urban village. Granny nervously wiped her hands, unsure how to properly host. Fu Jing meticulously cleaned off a small stool before sitting down, unusually calm for once, pretentiously holding a disposable cup with 2 fingers. He sneered, "Sitting here any longer will give me rheumatism." I glared at Fu Jing. "Young master, sit if you want, or get lost if you don't." Fu Jing shot me a vicious glare, but his butt seemed glued to the stool, refusing to budge. It wasn't until I finished helping grandma with her chores that Fu Jing reluctantly stood up. Grandma looked at Fu Jing kindly and said cheerfully, "Xiao Jing, come visit again with Qiushi next time." Fu Jing cleared his throat and reluctantly forced a smile at his grandmother. "See you next time." As I stepped outside, I unexpectedly encountered someone I hadn't anticipated. 14. Zhou Chongji stood at the alley entrance with a dark expression, flanked by a group of underlings carrying clubs. Zhou Chongji stared at us and let out a sinister chuckle. "Finally caught you." He sauntered forward slowly, a hint of disdain curling at the corners of his lips. "You've really picked a great spot. No cameras, no people." He tapped the long rod in his hand leisurely and said, "Even if I kill you all today, no one would ever know. Zhou Chongji is following us." With a sweep of my gaze, I quickly assessed the number of people and immediately formed a plan in my mind. Fu Jing, who feared nothing in heaven or earth, lifted his eyelids and coldly spat 2 words at Zhou Chongji. "Idiot." Hearing this, Zhou Chongji laughed in extreme anger. "Let's see today who's the real idiot." I took a step back, nudged Fu Jing's arm with my elbow, and whispered, "Follow my lead." Fu Jing raised an eyebrow in surprise. "You can fight too." I stared at Zhou Chongji approaching step by step, counting down under my breath. 3, 2, 1. Fu Jing spoke calmly. "Tell me, who should we beat up?" At the last moment, I grabbed Fu Jing's hand and shouted sharply, "Run." I yanked Fu Jing away, and he exclaimed in shock, "Didn't you say we were going to fight back?" I ran with practiced ease, deftly weaving through the alleyways with Fu Jing in tow. Even while panting for breath, I still had the energy to scold him. Are you out of your mind? There are 18 of them and only 2 of us. How could we possibly fight? Having backbone is good, but those who can't assess the situation are just fools. Both my brain and hands are crucial. My dream is to cultivate high-end wheat unique to China. I can't afford to get injured. Fu Jing let out a disdainful snort from his nose. Coward. But he wasn't actually stupid enough to go back and pick a fight with Zhou Zhongji. After saying these words, Fu Jing fell silent. Fortunately, I had lived here for a long time and was very familiar with the terrain. I led Fu Jing to a dead end, scaled the wall in a few steps, then quickly pulled him over. After hiding, I pulled Fu Jing down to crouch, pressing our ears against the wall as we listened to Zhou Chongji's men cursing while running away. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Turning my head, I saw Fu Jing staring at me in a daze. I frowned. What are you doing? After hesitating for a moment, he muttered, that moment when you climbed over the wall just now was pretty cool. 15. Su Yinglong caused another scene. One night, she suddenly showed up at the Fu family's doorstep, weeping pitifully, holding a camera. She sobbed while banging on our door. Little sister, Grandma is sick, please go see her. Behind where the camera couldn't see. A vicious glint flashed in Su Yinglong's eyes as she said weakly, come with me quickly to see Grandma. Disdainful of her family's shabby home, Su Yinglong had long since moved out of the rental and settled comfortably into the apartment Zhou Chongji rented for her. She rarely returned, even if Grandma fell ill. How could she know before I did? Besides, I just visited Grandma not long ago. She had a rosy complexion and was in good health. Su Yinglong's move was undoubtedly a weasel giving New Year's greetings to a chicken, harboring no good intentions. I checked the surveillance footage from Grandma's house, took a glance to confirm she was safe and sound, then reached out to close the door. Come on, sis, I can see you're brewing up some mischief. Su Yinglong flusteredly blocked the door, putting on an anxious performance. I'm serious, little sister. Grandma is really sick and wants to see you at home, I scoffed. Eyeing Su Yinglong, next time, try acting more convincingly, sis, then I might consider it. Fu Jing stepped out from behind me, his eyelids lowered as he looked down at Su Yinglong with disdain, as if observing an insignificant insect. He frowned in disgust. What kind of stray cats and dogs dare knock on our door? Are the security guards just for show? Fu Jing pressed the intercom button, his voice icy. Security. Escort this person out. Su Yinglong was escorted out by security with a tearful voice. Before leaving, the camera she held kept pointing in our direction. Su Yinglong glared at us from afar with venomous eyes, silently mouthing, you're done. Done with what? Do you really think I'm stupid and can't see her blatantly holding up her phone? I just want this wind to blow stronger, even stronger. The higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. Of course. 16. On the scheduled date, Academician Fan arrived as promised. Because Academician Fan is a renowned scholar at the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, when she arrived, many newspaper reporters came to the school together to interview her. Just as the principal respectfully invited Academician Fan to tour the school together, Su Yinglong rushed over, holding her phone and sobbing. She knelt on the ground, grabbed Academician Fan's skirt with tears in her eyes, and cried, Teacher, please help me. After my younger sister was adopted by the Fu family. Not only did she ignore me and Grandma's well-being, but she also bullies me at school. I really have no other choice. Academician Fan was a very gentle elder. Seeing this, she quickly helped Su Yinglong up and asked with concern, Child, what exactly happened? Who is your sister? Su Yinglong sobbed while wiping her tears. My sister is Fu Qiushi. Upon hearing this name, Academician Fan was momentarily stunned, and her gaze gradually sharpened. She said softly, Can you tell your teacher in detail what exactly happened? The reporters standing nearby instinctively raised their cameras the moment they saw Su Yinglong burst in. When they heard Su Yinglong mention bullying, their eyes lit up, and the red recording lights on their cameras blinked incessantly. They fixed their gaze on Su Yinglong and spoke gently, Don't be afraid, child, we're journalists, we'll get you justice. Su Yinglong slowly raised her tear-reddened eyes and lifted her phone to play the video. That video was the one from a few nights ago when Su Yinglong came crying to the Fu family's door. As the video reached its conclusion, the journalist said indignantly, This is too much. How could they be so ungrateful? What's this about bullying? Concerning the development of young people. We take campus violence cases very seriously and must resolutely eliminate school bullying. We will absolutely not tolerate it. Dean Fan let out a soft sigh and turned to the principal. Please call the other child over. I'd like to hear her side of the story. Something like this happened so suddenly. The principal was sweating profusely and quickly had someone summon me to the office. As soon as he entered the office, he sternly reprimanded me, saying, "Fu Qiushi, even though you were adopted by the Fu family, Su Yinglong is still your relative after all. How could you bully your sister just because you're now a child of a wealthy family?" Standing opposite the principal, I looked up and smiled faintly, responding neither humbly nor arrogantly. "Principal, are you saying that no one, regardless of who they are, should bully classmates at school?" The principal raised his voice and declared, "Of course, this is a school. No matter what a student's family background is, once they enter the school, they are all students. The school will never tolerate any acts of bullying." Hearing this, I smiled contentedly, my eyes curving slightly. "Principal, I report that Zhou Chongji is bullying me at school." As soon as these words were spoken, the whole room erupted in uproar. Everyone knows that Zhou Chongji is the young master of the Zhou family in Ningqing, a person of noble status. He's not someone to be trifled with. In an instant, the reporters' cameras all swiveled to focus on me in unison. Cold sweat poured down the principal's forehead as he slammed the table hard. "Nonsense, you haven't even explained your own bullying behavior clearly. How dare you falsely accuse Zhou without evidence?" 17. I slowly averted my gaze and sighed. "First of all, the claim that I bullied Su Yinglong is completely fabricated, a baseless accusation from start to finish." A flicker of unmistakable panic crossed Su Yinglong's face. "You're lying," she demanded. The principal retrieved the surveillance footage, pulling up all the recordings of me slapping her in the hallway. "The surveillance footage clearly shows the truth. I slapped Su Yinglong." The principal slammed the desk and shouted sharply, "Fu Qiushi, what explanation do you have for this?" My gaze shifted as I shook my head. "I admit that slapping Su Yinglong is a fact. It was an act of violence in a moment of desperation, and I willingly accept punishment." A smug expression appeared on Su Yinglong's face. Then I changed my tone. "However, every time I got angry and hit Su Yinglong, there was a reason. My brother Fu Jing has bipolar disorder, which makes him emotionally unstable. Yet Su Yinglong openly spread rumors at school that Fu Jing was a lunatic. Her actions undoubtedly worsened his condition. What's more, Su Yinglong always called Fu Jing a lunatic right in front of me." I raised my eyes and looked at the crowd. "Fu Jing is a good brother, and I can't tolerate him being slandered like this by Su Yinglong." Almost everyone in the school knew that Fu Jing had bipolar disorder. Hearing this, the principal showed a thoughtful expression. A reporter whispered, "Indeed, physical conflicts arising from verbal disputes are understandable and cannot serve as direct evidence of school bullying." After hearing the whole story, Academician Fan tapped the desk and looked at me. "So, your sister claims you've been neglecting our elderly grandmother. What's that about?" I nodded and looked directly at Academician Fan. I said softly, "Perhaps having my grandmother explain in person would be more convincing." 18. Fu Jing led Grandma into the office. On the way, Grandma had already heard the whole story. She looked at Su Yinglong with deep disappointment, as if unable to comprehend why the child would behave this way. With a choked voice, Grandma said, "Qiushi is a good child. She's been helping me with farm work since she was little, never complaining about hardship or fatigue." Her withered, aged hands fumbled repeatedly in her clothes pocket before tremblingly pulling out a tightly wrapped cloth bundle. Unwrapping it revealed a bank card inside. Grandma slowly rubbed the bank card with her hands, tears streaming from her eyes. "After Qiushi was adopted by the Fu family, she visited me every month and saved all her pocket money for this old woman to use. She worries about my poor health. Despite being busy with her own studies, she frequently comes back to visit me and helps with chores." "Sis," Grandma's clouded eyes welled up with tears as she spoke guiltily, "is it because I'm not well educated that I failed to raise you properly? How could you lie and slander your younger sister like this?" Hearing Grandma's words, Su Yinglong's face turned pale. She kept shaking her head. "What are you talking about, Grandma? How come I never knew about Fu Qiushi visiting you?" Su Yinglong forced a smile. "Don't lie to everyone just to protect Fu Qiushi." Grandma staggered a couple of steps, trembling as if about to kneel before everyone. "This old woman dares to guarantee Qiushi is truly a good child. She's never done anything wicked or harmful. Don't be harsh with the girl." Seeing my grandmother's actions, I immediately stepped forward and supported her. Grandma broke free from my hand, knelt down, and kowtowed to the crowd. With tears, she said, "Yinglong is my fault for not teaching her well. Don't blame her." The reporters' eyes darted around. Having seen many scenes, they understood the situation clearly. The truth and falsehood could be distinguished at a glance. I helped Grandma to her feet and looked at Su Yinglong with a cold smile. of course you wouldn't know that I often visit grandma, because you despised our poor family and moved out long ago. Search your conscience, how many times did you visit grandma in the 6 months after you left, worried about grandma's poor health and afraid she might fall or get sick with no one to care for her? I installed surveillance cameras at home, watching as Suing Long's face grew paler by the second. I said coldly, you would have definitely noticed these things if you were at home, but, you know what? I pulled up the camera footage and displayed the surveillance records previously saved on my phone. In the video, Suing Long rarely came home, and whenever she did, she would rummage through drawers looking for grandma's savings passbook, arrogantly demanding money from her. Fortunately, I had reminded grandma in advance, so she hid the bank card I gave her very well. That's why Suing Long couldn't find it. In the video, Suing Long impatiently shoved grandma and cursed, "You old hag. Truly a waste of life, can't even produce a single penny, what's the point of me staying with you anyway?" And grandma, pushed by Suing Long, staggered and fell to the ground, only able to apologize, "I'm sorry, grandma is useless, can't earn money." When I first saw these videos earlier, I was already burning with anger, rushed to grandma's house overnight to take her for a medical checkup. Fortunately, nothing serious happened. And now, the evidence left in the video has all become sharp blades pointing at Suing Long. From the moment I entered, Suing Long had stealthily propped up her phone on the bookshelf. Her phone was live streaming, recording everything from the very beginning. Her original intention was to provoke conflict and have netizens criticize me. Little did she expect the situation to reverse so quickly, silently intercepted by me. She had no chance to shut down the live stream. Netizens' reactions shifted from initial sympathy for Suing Long and insults toward me, to speechlessness as the tide turned, and finally to outright condemnation of Suing Long upon seeing those videos. How disgusting, what a vile white lotus, stop pretending to be innocent. And I actually thought she stayed with her grandma out of love. Turns out she just wanted to suck the old woman dry, feed off her bones. So cheap, so damn cheap. Ah, I was just defending her earlier. I regret it so much. 19. Academician fan helped grandma sit down, saying softly, "Sister Shoa, rest a bit and have some water." Grandma used to be a support worker in Academician fan's research lab, helping the department with soil tilling and planting. In her previous life, Academician fan remembered the elderly grandma and made a special visit after her speech, which led to the unexpected discovery of my natural talent in agriculture. Therefore, after working hard to get into agricultural school, I became Academician fan's student. In this lifetime, Suing Long wants to prevent me from meeting Academician fan, trying to stop me from following the same path as my previous life, but I was well prepared, having already compiled and sent my thesis to Academician fan's email early on. After reviewing my thesis ideas, Academician fan was greatly impressed. We exchanged contact information. She learned about my situation, and arranged to meet me on the day of her lecture. So when Suing Long came in crying, Academician fan decided to hear the full story and understand the actual situation before drawing any conclusions as soon as she heard my name, and the outcome didn't disappoint her expectations. Then looking at me, Academician fan smiled gently, "Chershur, you truly are a good child, I wasn't wrong about you." After a pause, she turned to the principal and said sternly, "The misunderstandings surrounding student Chershur have all been clarified. Now, it's time to call Zhou Chongji over and discuss his school bullying issues." Seeing this situation, the principal's forehead was beaded with increasingly more cold sweat the more he wiped. I smiled and said, "Of course, words alone are no proof. We can certainly review the surveillance footage first." When this matter was mentioned, Suing Long nearly lost her balance. I calmly opened the surveillance footage and played out every detail of Zhou Chongji leading a group to corner me, exactly as captured by the cameras. Of course, I wouldn't be as foolishly blatant and heavy-handed as Suing Long. I understand the wisdom of biding one's time and concealing one's strength. If I act, I'll strike like an eagle, lethal in a single blow. Today, I'm going to solve everything all at once. Zhou Zhongji bullied me, that's a fact, and today, accompanying Academician fan are all elite reporters from Ningqing Daily. When it comes to sensitive topics like wealthy family bullying, they're like wolves catching the scent of blood, their eyes suddenly glowing red. They won't stop until they've torn off a piece of flesh. Zhou Chongji, even as the most esteemed young master of the Zhou family, has no one to protect him. 20. The course of events unfolded exactly as I had anticipated. With evidence in hand, this is practically an indisputable fact. Journalists widely publicized Zhou Chongji's bullying of classmates. Overnight, Zhou Group stocks plummeted severely. And even Zhou Chongji didn't come to school for several consecutive days. Fearing Zhou Chongji's violent retaliation, I behaved very obediently during those days, strictly following my school schedule without daring to stay outside a moment longer. Yet inevitably, I still ran into Zhou Chongji at school. Over these past few days, he's grown terribly haggard, with dark, sunken eyes and bluish circles beneath them. He stopped me. "Fu Qiushi, let's talk." I warily glanced around, making sure we were surrounded by classmates, before replying defensively, "I have nothing to say to you." Zhou Chongji ignored me, lowering his head to light a cigarette, holding the cigarette in his mouth, nicotine swirling in his lungs. He flicked the ash before speaking slowly. "That alley where I had someone block you, was that where your grandmother lived?" I frowned, unsure why Zhou Chongji would ask such a question. I replied defensively, "Don't even think about causing trouble for my grandmother. I've already moved her out. She's somewhere none of you can find now." Hearing my response, Zhou Chongji scoffed, tossed the cigarette butt to the ground, and crushed it under his foot. "I didn't mean to take revenge on you." He was silent for a moment before murmuring, "All this time, I never realized Su Yinglong claimed to care about grandma, yet she never once went back to visit her." Zhou Chongji shut his eyes tightly, exhaling sharply. "I see it clearly now. This is the retribution I deserve. I disliked you before because I thought you were money-grubbing, a greedy and opportunistic ingrate. That's exactly the kind of person my father was. He killed my mother. That's why I've always hated people like him the most. But only now do I realize, I'm a fucking idiot, being played like a fool while pretending to be righteous." Zhou Chongji pressed his lips together, lowering his head stiffly as he apologized to me. "I'm sorry, Fu Qiushi." Seeing Zhou Chongji like this, I calmly took 2 steps back. "Don't be disgusting. If apologies were enough, what would we need the police for?" With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. Zhou Chongji stood behind me, quietly watching my retreating figure. He murmured softly, "Just consider me shameless." 21. I heard Zhou Chongji dump Su Yinglong. Before long, rumors spread again that Su Yinglong was pregnant. She cried and made a scene at the Zhou family's doorstep, demanding they take responsibility. Unfortunately, the one who responded to her wasn't Zhou Chongji, but his father, old Mr. Zhou, already in a foul mood due to heavy stock market losses, felt even more disgusted upon seeing Su Yinglong, the root cause of Zhou Chongji's scandal, being exposed. He was still smiling when facing Su Yinglong, but his words showed no mercy. "You're pregnant. How can you be sure it's my son's? A woman like you, Mr. Zhou leisurely sized up Su Yinglong. She was beautiful, a petite face the size of a palm, round eyes, and had been a beauty since childhood. Thus, whether in her past life or this one, she deluded herself into thinking she could captivate men with her looks. The only pity was, in her previous life, she opposed Fu Jing and suffered terribly for it. But in this life..." Zhou Chongji saw through Su Yinglong's true nature and grew utterly disgusted with her. After sizing her up, Father Zhou smirked disdainfully. "Just a wave of my hand, and I could have plenty more. What makes you think you're anything special?" Father Zhou waved his hand in utter disgust. "Take her away, abort the fetus, and then send her wherever she's supposed to go." Su Yinglong was forced to undergo an abortion. Within just a few days, she became severely emaciated, her cheeks hollowed out. When Grandma heard about this, she felt nothing but heartache, blaming herself for failing to raise Su Yinglong properly. But I knew clearly that all of this was Su Yinglong's own doing. I didn't want to upset Grandma, so I agreed to visit Su Yinglong at the hospital on her behalf. Su Yinglong lay on the hospital bed, her gaze vacant as she murmured, "Why? Why is my fate still so miserable even after being reborn? How come I can never win against you?" I watched her from a distance, expressionless. "Your biggest mistake was placing your hopes on someone else. In your past life, you wanted to rely on the Fu family to become a young lady. Unfortunately, they had ulterior motives for adopting a daughter. So you couldn't accept it and directly opposed the Fu family without considering Fu Jing's illness, creating a vicious cycle that made Fu Jing dislike you even more. In this life, you want to rely on Zhou Chongji's affection to become a wealthy wife. Unfortunately, the version of you that Zhou Chongji likes is all an act. You can pretend for a while, but not for a lifetime. You could have chosen a path more suited to yourself. Sister, the biggest difference between you and me is that I never rely on others. I place all my hopes on myself." Hearing my words, Su Yinglong froze for a moment, her face deathly pale as she shook her head, stubbornly insisting, "I'm not like you, not at all." Su Yinglong screamed hoarsely, ordering people to throw me out. Later, I heard that after Su Yinglong recovered her health, she frequently visited bars and dance halls, places of decadent revelry. Relying on her looks, she indeed managed to hook up with quite a few wealthy men, but those men were just toying with her, and once they got bored, they quickly discarded her. Not a single one was willing to marry her. They sneered, "You're just a whore who's been played by thousands. If it weren't for your decent face, I wouldn't even consider taking you in." In just a few months, Su Yinglong was forced to undergo multiple abortions. The last time, she encountered Zhou Chongji at a bar, watching Zhou Chongji being surrounded by the crowd at the center. Su Yinglong's eyes turned red with rage as she grabbed a knife and walked towards Zhou Chongji. Zhou Chongji was stabbed dozens of times and immediately rushed to the emergency room, with his life hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, Su Yinglong was arrested and imprisoned for the crime of intentional assault. 22. I came across this news story through a webpage notification while checking my exam results. After the college entrance exams, Fu Jing scored well with 531 points, enough to get him into a good university in Ningqing. As for me, with 739 points, I was the top science student in the city. My goal was clear: to attend the agricultural school where academician Fan once studied. With the college entrance exams over and my duty of caring for Fu Jing completed, I decided to bid farewell to the Fu family. I slid forward a card. This is the prize money I earned from participating in competitions and inventing patents during high school. I've saved all the pocket money you gave me. I was adopted by the Fu family only to repay their kindness in helping my grandmother back then. Now, it's time to leave. Hearing my words, Fu Jing clenched his fists and said in disbelief, "You're leaving?" I smiled and reassured him, "Fu Jing, no one will stay by your side forever. You need to learn to say goodbye." Now, Fu Jing's condition is well under control, and his bipolar disorder rarely flares up. Besides, my gaze softened. I have my own dreams to pursue, and I'm going after them. My dream is to cultivate premium wheat varieties, giving Chinese people access to high-end domestic crops, ensuring food security without relying on imports, encouraging citizens to prioritize local produce, enabling premium pricing for quality agricultural products, and helping farmers earn better incomes. I've had a dream since childhood. The crops my grandmother worked so hard to grow would no longer be sold at unfairly low prices. In my past life, I had already cultivated the wheat variety of my dreams, but now, all this remains just a vision. Today's China lacks high-end agricultural products in the international market. Despite being a major agricultural country, it is the world's largest importer of agricultural products. Moreover, apart from the Northeast Plain and a few other regions where mechanized production and planting can be achieved, most areas in China consist of mountains and hills, making full mechanization impossible. I believe that with previous experience, I can not only develop the ideal wheat variety ahead of schedule but also make further high-quality improvements, making it a premium high-end wheat variety better suited to China's conditions. 23. It's just that I didn't expect. On the first day of school, Fu Jing appeared lazily in front of me, dragging his suitcase. I was somewhat stunned. "Why are you here?" He pulled me into a side hug, lifting his eyelids lazily. Big brother can't bear to let his little sister wander alone in a foreign place. Grandma couldn't understand why Su Yinglong made the unprecedented choice to stay in this impoverished household. Huahua, Fu Jing pushed me outward. "Go help me fill out the forms quickly. There are so many people there. Crowds give me a headache." Taking advantage of my occupied hands, Fu Jing slipped a bank card into my bag. He smirked playfully. "The Fu family has money. It's not like we can't afford to support you. Why are you being so dramatic? We finally have a top student little sister. The whole family can't spoil you enough. How could we bear to see you living like an ascetic every day?" "Don't worry," Fu Jing ruffled my hair. "I've arranged for grandma to be brought home. She'll be well taken care of." "Genius. Never mind the trivialities. Just focus on changing the world with that brilliant mind of yours. As for everything else, with your big brother here, what is there to fear? Once a brother, always a brother. I'll always have your back, bro. You can count on me." 24. At the age of 25, working with academician Fan, our team successfully cultivated high-end premium wheat, high yield, excellent taste, easy to cultivate. Within just a few years, Huagua's premium wheat became a global bestseller. Through the substantial patent fees collected from seeds and the profits from agricultural exports, Hua country's agricultural sector has been developing increasingly well. As agriculture became profitable, more and more people began to engage in agricultural production. In the year I turned 29, at the venue of the Supreme Science and Technology Awards ceremony. Our entire team was nominated, recognized for our tremendous contributions to agriculture and wheat cultivation. Grandma sat in the audience, quietly wiping away tears. She clapped excitedly and said with a smile, "Chosher, I'm so proud of you." Fu Jing smiled at me and congratulated me. "Little sister, congratulations on making your dream come true." I walked towards them. Behind me was thunderous applause and the constant flashing of camera lights. I know that with the continuous strengthening of agriculture, China's future will be more solidly and powerfully secured. China will always strive for self-improvement. Story 2. After being hated by the whole internet due to the plagiarism incident, I publicly announced that I would stop writing. My boyfriend, who had been indignantly accusing me, was stunned. "What are you going to do? Didn't you say there were still a lot of debts to pay off?" His white moonlight, the victim of the plagiarism incident, was also flustered. Wei, you don't have to punish yourself like this. I'm willing to give you a chance to start over." I looked at the flashing magnesium lights below the stage, and my expression didn't waver in the slightest. In my last life, these two people humiliated me while colluding with each other to steal my creative achievements. In the end, the words I painstakingly wrote helped Qin Ruoro achieve the fame of a talented writer. This time around, I directly cancelled the author's pen name that I had used for 6 years. I've had enough of living in this cramped rental house. It's time to go home and inherit the family fortune. As for Qin Ruoro, I want to see how you're going to complete the remaining half of the work. 1. May I ask, Ms. Meng, you keep saying that you will produce evidence to prove that you didn't plagiarize. So, where is the evidence? As one of your former readers, I really don't want to believe that you would do such a thing. Were your previous works really written by you? Facing countless microphones thrust towards me, I was first taken aback. And then my heart began to beat violently. I was reborn on the day when I held a press conference to prove my innocence. In my previous life, my boyfriend's white moonlight plagiarized my novel, which was based on my own secret love story. On the day of the book's evaluation, it soared to the top of the website's gold list, creating a best-selling myth in the youth campus literature genre. After being reposted by Big V marketing accounts, countless netizens exclaimed that it was tear-jerking. I originally wanted to show my creative drafts as evidence, but unexpectedly, on the day of the press conference, my files were emptied, leaving no trace at all. I experienced unprecedented online violence. Every day, I received wreaths, black and white photos, and terrifying express deliveries from all over the place. I gritted my teeth and continued writing. But in the end, I was stabbed to death by radical anti-fans who came to my door. At the moment, I just hesitated for a moment, and my so-called good boyfriend of 3 years, Xue Chen, couldn't help but launch a passionate attack. "Meng Weiwei, if you say that Ruoro is slandering you, then produce the evidence. Don't make unfounded accusations and smear others." He glared at me angrily, but there was a flash of complacent in his eyes. Yes, how could he not know what was in my folder? What he wanted was for me to be disgraced and for Qin Ruoro to become the new generation of popular writer. I lowered my eyes, picked up my computer, and walked beside the projection platform. I turned it on and cast the screen. The next second, facing everyone's astonished gazes, I cancelled the author's pen name that I had used for 6 years. Xue Chen and Qin Ruoro stood up directly. I said in a cold voice, "Everyone, I am wrong today. The evidence has been destroyed by those with ulterior motives, and it's difficult for me to defend myself. From today onwards, this pen name is invalid. I will stop writing and never set foot in anything related to the online literature circle again." 2. After I finished speaking, I was about to leave with my computer. Xue Chen rushed in front of me like a shot to block me. "What are you going to do? Didn't you say there were still a lot of debts to pay off? You just decide not to write. Didn't you say every day that writing is your biggest dream?" Qin Ruoro was also flustered. She came over with tears in her eyes. Weiwei, you don't have to punish yourself like this. I'm willing to give you a chance to start over." I sneered as I watched these two people perform. The next second, Qin Ruoro suddenly gritted her teeth and knelt down in front of me on the spot. "Weiwei, I beg you not to quit the circle just because of this little thing. Your readers will definitely not let me off. I can delete all the information and pretend that none of this ever happened. If you quit the circle, I'll be in big trouble. I won't write either." The sound of click-click from the shutters immediately aimed at her. My former golden editor couldn't help but come over and try to pull her up. "What are you saying, Ruoro? Why are you kneeling to a plagiarist?" She brought this upon herself. "You just signed a top writer contract with the company, don't forget." There is still work to be done in the future. I was too lazy to be attacked here, so I simply left the scene. To prevent being blocked by reporters, I deliberately took a small path and took a taxi back to the rental house from the back door. On the way back, messages on my Weibo kept popping up. I opened it and found that 4 out of the top 10 trending topics were about me. Hashtag Meng Weiwei plagiarized hashtag. Hashtag Meng Weiwei and Qin Ruoro hashtag. Hashtag Qin Ruoro was forced to kneel hashtag. Hashtag Qin Ruoro's ghostwriter hashtag. The unscrupulous marketing accounts denied all the works I had ever created. They claimed that I plagiarized Qin Ruoro's ideas and threatened Qin Ruoro to be my ghostwriter. There were nothing but curses under my Weibo posts. Damn, it's so disgusting. I actually followed a plagiarist. I watched the live press conference. Meng Weiwei didn't dare to say a word when she was criticized, and in the end, she even forced Qin Ruoro to kneel. At least you have the sense to know to stop writing and quit the circle, otherwise, I'll definitely make you pay. Even your own boyfriend stood up to accuse you. Meng Weiwei, what have you done? I think she's made enough money and is running away. I support Qin Ruoro to sue to the end and let her face the lawsuit. The comments on my backstage were all foul language. In contrast, the number of followers on Qin Ruoro's Weibo increased sharply. And there were a lot of warm and encouraging comments below. I left a comment, then I wish you can continue to update daily and complete the second half. Don't let your readers down. I knew that I didn't have much saved work left. Qin Ruoro was too impatient. She was worried that I would publish the work before I finished stockpiling the drafts, so she simply took the initiative first. But she couldn't complete the foreshadowing and Easter eggs I left in the front. Exposing her was just a matter of time. 3. I returned to the rental house. The 90 square meter house was neither too big nor too small, and I had decorated it to be warm and comfortable. On the old wall were photos pasted together to form a heart shape, photos of me and Xue Chen, but every one of them was secretly taken by me and then developed by someone else. He never agreed to take photos with me. He also didn't want to post on moments, and on anniversaries. He would even give me the cold shoulder and disappear in advance. Over the years, I paid for the rent and utilities. I also basically paid for our meals, shopping, and outings. I immediately, under the pressure of paying the liquidated damages, proposed to the landlord that I would move out. I threw away the things I didn't need and packed up as quickly as possible. Just as I was busily working, there was a knock on the door. I opened the door and found that it was Xue Chen and Qin Ruoro. Weiwei, are you moving? As soon as Qin Ruoro entered the door, she hypocritically took my hand. I coldly pulled my hand back. Xue Chen looked at me coldly, and the disdain between his eyebrows was obvious. Moving, as far as I know, her father has long since passed away due to illness. The money she has worked so hard to earn by writing over the years has been used to pay off the medical expenses her father owed. She even feels pained about the monthly rent of 2,000 yuan for this house. If she moves, she can only move to a shabby single dormitory. I looked at him expressionlessly. What do you want? Xue Chen said with disgust. Apologize to Ruoro and publicly admit that you plagiarized. 4. My eyebrows twitched. Is this something a decent person would say? I angrily questioned him. Xue Chen, don't you know the truth? You've been living off me all these years. Where do you get the nerve to say such things now? Xue Chen's expression didn't waver in the slightest. He said with a sense of righteousness. Just because you're a jobless vagrant without parents, and Ruoro has been a princess surrounded by everyone's attention since she was in school, I will help her get whatever she wants. You probably don't know yet, Ruoro's parents are middle school teachers. She's thousands of times better than you in every way. My boyfriend, who had been in a relationship with me since college, was now attacking me with the most vicious words. He only knew that I came from a single-parent family and moved out because I had a disagreement with my mother, but he didn't know that my mother was the general manager of the Asia-Pacific region of a certain multinational group. After my father passed away, he left us an inheritance worth 9 figures. It can be said that if I hadn't chosen to stay here to avoid inheriting the family business back then, I would have been someone that Xue Chen could never reach in his entire life. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Xue Chen thought his attack had been effective. He sneered and continued, some people are born princesses, while others, no matter how hard they try, are just shady maids. If I were you, I would slink away now and leave all the things here to Ruoro. What are you still standing there for? Immediately log on to Weibo and publicly apologize to Ruoro, or don't blame me for being rude. However, the next second, I raised my hand and gave Xue Chen a solid slap in the face. I slapped him so hard that Shui Chen's face turned to the side, his eyes widened, and red blood vessels immediately filled his eyeballs. Meng Weiwei, how dare you hit someone? Qin Ruoruo let out a scream and immediately took 2 steps back to take out her phone to film. However, I slapped her phone away first and swung my suitcase to knock both of them aside. I vented my resentment wildly, smashing whatever was at hand. Anyway, I didn't plan to keep anything. If you like my things so much, then I'll give them all to you. The surroundings were in a mess, and all the visible items were smashed to pieces by me. I opened the door and strode out of this place where I had lived in a cramped space for 3 years. 5. I called my mother. We hadn't been in touch for several years, but when I dialed the number, she answered immediately. At that moment, my tears flowed uncontrollably. In my previous life, from the time I left in a fit of pique after graduating from university until I was killed, I didn't get to say a word to my mother. I couldn't imagine how sad she would be when she heard the news of my death. This time, I just wanted to be my mother's little spoiled one. It's good to be home, it's good to be home. My mother's voice kept trembling, and in the end, she could only repeat these 4 words. Soon, I boarded the plane back to Shanghai. Before boarding, I took a look at Weibo and found that Qin Ruoruo had hypocritically posted another message. Sorry, everyone, I'm going to stop writing for a while. The things that have happened recently have made me feel a bit overwhelmed. Meng Weiwei is also a senior that I have always admired. I want to take a leave of absence for a while to adjust myself. And Li Fei, the editor who had once shown me great care, quickly reposted this Weibo post. Fans, please give Ruoruo some time to come up with better works. Next month, we will hold a fan meeting event in Shanghai. Everyone is welcome to attend. It was clearly trying to build Qin Ruoruo into a popular author. I sighed, turned off my phone, and fell into a deep sleep. When I got off the plane, my mother had already come to pick me up with a driver and bodyguards in a Rolls-Royce. She said that she had heard about my situation and was going to ask her friends to handle the public relations and contact a lawyer to sue at the same time. We will pursue this matter to the end. We will never let my precious daughter suffer any grievances. I lay in my mother's arms, her hand kept stroking my back, and her chin gently rested on my forehead. There were all kinds of exquisite dishes in the car, as well as my favorite drinks from before. My mother was afraid that I would be hungry, so she started preparing as soon as she received my call. I hugged my mother tightly. Don't worry, Mom, there's no need to go to so much trouble. I smiled and said, soon, the real plagiarist will reap what she sows. 6. It felt so great to move back into our big villa. I didn't have to get up early to buy groceries and prepare 3 meals a day, and I didn't have to wash my clothes myself. The balance in my card with countless zeros was more than I could spend, and I no longer had to worry about the rent and expenses every month. My mother specially tidied up a study for me. There were several walls full of books and a computer with the highest configuration, which supported me to do anything I wanted. Every morning, I could bask in the sun in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, do yoga, and have beauty treatments. At noon, I could enjoy a full banquet. In the afternoon, I could go shopping, have afternoon tea, and learn equestrianism, yoga, and golf. In the evening, I could have a glass of red wine, take a bath in the spacious bathtub, and fall asleep accompanied by the tuner specially hired by my mother. My physical fitness and mental state have been greatly improved, several levels higher than before. However, at the same time, with Qin Ruoruo's long-term discontinuation of updates, dissatisfied voices gradually emerged online. Some people began to question, can Qin Ruoruo really write? Could it be that what Meng Weiwei said was true? There's no reason to stop updating for so long when she's so popular. She has no professional ethics at all. Is she playing tricks on everyone? Refund the money quickly. Qin Ruoruo was also anxious. She logged on to Weibo more and more frequently. I knew this person very well. She had a delicate appearance since she was a child and was used to relying on men. She didn't have any real talent or learning at all. Asking her to write a few words was harder than killing her. What's more, my book was completely based on my own real-life situation, telling the story of my unrequited love for a senior back then. Even if Shuichen knew me well, he could only tell Qin Ruoruo about some individual events. So, Qin Ruoruo couldn't withstand the pressure and reluctantly wrote a chapter under Shuichen's guidance. But the plummeting data and the flood of negative comments soon made her delete it. So, she played the victim on Weibo again, claiming that she was ill and having an operation, and she really couldn't do anything about it. But she also promised that she would definitely hand over a work that satisfied everyone at the offline meeting. One day, I was shopping at Hermes. thinking about which bag to match with my new clothes, when editor Li Fei suddenly sent me a message saying that she wanted to meet me. Wei, I see that your IP address is in Shanghai. Coincidentally, I'm also on a business trip here. Let's have a good chat. There are some things that I may have misunderstood you about. My heart started to beat faster. 7. I originally thought that I would be vindicated, but unexpectedly, when Li Fei came to me this time, she actually tried to persuade me to continue helping Qin Ruoruo complete the work. In the coffee shop, Li Fei sized up the new Chanel outfit I was wearing and let out a slightly disdainful chuckle. Name your price, Wei. I know your family is in a difficult situation. How much do you want to continue writing? Now Qin Ruoruo is the golden sign of our website. She has created huge profits for us, and the website will definitely protect her. In the few minutes of silence, it felt as if a century had passed. Now that your pen name has been cancelled, your former readers are gone. Besides, it was the website that made efforts to promote you to achieve results back then. Li Fei pushed the coffee cup aside and leaned forward. 500,000. That's enough for you to get a real set of clothes like the ones you're wearing now, and it can also help you continue to do what you want. Looking at her meaningful eyes, my face darkened completely. What kind of person did Li Fei take me for, and what did she think I was doing in Shanghai now? Fine, I squeezed out these 2 words through gritted teeth. No problem, I've already prepared the outline, it only takes 3 days, and I'll complete the remaining 100,000 words for you. Li Fei stood up excitedly. Great, then it's a deal. I'll wait for you here in 3 days. I grabbed my bag and turned to leave. After I got back, I turned on the computer and started writing according to the outline I had drafted in my notebook. Perhaps due to the rest I had in the previous period, my inspiration and energy were extremely abundant. 3 days later, with 2 dark circles under my eyes, I handed the manuscript to her. Li Fei was overjoyed. But she was still cautious and reviewed the manuscript in front of me first. Only after confirming that there was no problem did she let out a sigh of relief, transferred 500,000 to me on the spot, and signed a confidentiality contract with me. But Li Fei didn't know, when these manuscripts are uploaded to the website, they won't be in the current layout format. At that time, in several lines in the middle, the first characters will form a sentence together. Qin Ruoruo is the real plagiarist. 8. After getting the manuscript, Qin Ruoruo seemed to rejuvenate overnight and could even directly retort to the anti-fans. She showed the word count of the document and angrily rebuked. I will never hastily create shoddy works for the sake of traffic. I want a high-quality product that I can be proud of. This domineering declaration won her even more favor, and the comments on the platform were all in support of her. I flipped through her comment section, and a person named Protect Ruoruo for Life was particularly eye-catching. This user's Weibo was all about Qin Ruoruo. It recorded countless round-trip tickets over 3 years and countless preferences of the girl secretly spied on and recorded. From his historical avatars, I found out that he was Xue Chen. Only then did I realize that when he confessed to me after graduating from university, he was just trying to make Qin Ruoruo jealous. Soon, Qin Ruoruo's reader meeting arrived. She announced in advance that she would upload all the remaining content of the book on the spot, allowing readers to enjoy it all at once. This was really attractive, so on the day of the meeting, the entire hall was packed. Unaware passers-by might have thought some popular celebrity had arrived. Readers held self-made peripheral signs, and their shouts were almost deafening. Ah, my Ruoruo is really so beautiful in person. The goddess is not only talented but also so beautiful. How can others live? I like reading your book so much. Can you sign for me? I'm going crazy with excitement. When will it be published? I want to buy 10 copies to collect. Don't push, you're blocking me. Facing the reader's questions, Qin Ruoruo also answered according to what Xue Chen had taught her. Of course the senior is very outstanding. He went abroad as soon as he graduated. He is the white moonlight in my youth memories. I only dared to deliberately pass by their classroom on the way after class. He would always stand in the corridor and chat and laugh with others. I was most looking forward to when everyone ran together during the break exercises and when we ate in the cafeteria because I could get closer to him openly. At that time, I specially opened a premium membership on QQ to secretly browse the senior space. When I saw him, I didn't dare to raise my head and deliberately put on a very cold look. Ha ha ha, until now, I'm afraid he still doesn't know that I liked him. Qin Ruoruo's expression when speaking was shy and timid, just like a little girl secretly in love with her favorite male god in school. When it came to some moments, she would also lower her eyes, as if she was experiencing the pain of secret love all over again. Finally, the most exciting moment arrived. The remaining manuscript of Chin Ruorwo's book was projected on the big screen. This highly anticipated book finally came to an end. Readers also took out their mobile phones one after another to open Chin Ruorwo's book and give rewards and tickets. There were exclamations all around the scene, and everyone unanimously agreed that it was a masterpiece, and the later part was even more tear-jerking than the previous part. Gradually, sobs began to be heard. Until someone with sharp eyes noticed something was wrong. Wait, what does this mean? On page 3 of chapter 98, why do I see that the first words are connected into a sentence? Chin Ruorwo is the real plagiarist. The whole audience was in an uproar. Immediately, someone began to respond, damn, it really is. I said, why? There suddenly appeared a character with the surname Chin. Could it be that the original author of this book is really someone else? My God. What kind of supernatural event is this? Or is the original author using a veiled way to hint at the truth to us? Have we been deceived all along? The scene was in chaos, and the staff quickly withdrew and took down the new chapter. But still, many people had already seen it. The book fans were indignant and shouted for Chin Ruorwo to give an explanation, and she reacted quickly and immediately screamed, absurd. This is simply absurd, absolutely impossible. This is my original work. Someone has tampered with my manuscript. Who touched my computer? It clearly wasn't like this. But immediately, a reader retorted, who could touch your computer? Don't you always carry it with you? Is it such a coincidence that it was touched today? Prove yourself by writing an extra chapter on the spot. If the writing style and plot are consistent, we'll believe you. That's right, hurry up and write. You always say you want to give back to your readers. Writing an extra chapter shouldn't be too difficult for you, right? Facing the swarming microphones, Chin Ruorwo covered her chest and pretended to have a heart attack. She gasped a couple of times, closed her eyes, and fell straight down. Now the whole audience was completely in chaos. Many book fans rushed onto the stage and asked the staff to restore the deleted chapter. Xuechen also rushed out of the crowd at the first time, picked her up horizontally, and roared with his eyes wide open, asking for a doctor. When he rushed out, he happened to pass by me, who was standing on the outermost circle. At that time, the scene was already boiling, and everyone rushed onto the stage to see the words on the big screen clearly. Chin Ruorwo herself was no longer the focus of the reader's attention. Meng Weiwei, you still have the nerve to show up. You must be behind all this today. Xuechen's face was terrifyingly gloomy. The way he looked at me was like looking at a sworn enemy. You're jealous that Ruorwo has my love, so you've always been unhappy with her. I know that, but your methods today are really despicable. You just can't stand to see the person I like do well and deliberately want to ruin her. You bitch, just wait. If anything happens to Ruorwo today, I'll kill you. He roared at me, just like a general who was furious for the sake of his beloved. Just as Xuechen was about to push my shoulder and rush out, I also spoke softly, Xuechen. Do you think I was with you just because I liked you? His footsteps stopped. He turned around with his whole body tensed. You also know that the person I had a crush on went abroad after graduating from university. The reason I agreed to your confession was, first, to heal my heart, and second I smiled and pointed at the tip of his nose. You have a small mole here, just like him, but unfortunately, a substitute can never compare to the real thing. 9. After this farce of Chin Ruorwo, the website originally wanted to create a personal IP through this event and successfully earn a wave of traffic, but it ended up in vain. Instead, it was met with overwhelming abuse and doubts. Some people began to dig out the dispute between me and Chin Ruorwo back then and shouted at the website's official. Meng Weiwei has written books for many years, and every one of them has been on the gold list. I was skeptical when such a person was accused of plagiarism. It was because you, the official, strongly protected Chin Ruorwo that we chose to believe. Chin Ruorwo's speech at the meeting was illogical and lacking in level, except for answering those questions about secret love. But who can guarantee that this wasn't a prearranged draft? I read the article she published some time ago and quickly deleted. It was as watery as that of a primary school student. Could this be her true level? This is the first time I've seen such a website. It can't tell right from wrong just for the sake of traffic. Refund the money. If I recharge again, I'm a dog. You really deserve it. You forced away your own veteran top writer for a plagiarist. As expected, those who do evil will surely come to no good, but some netizens were willing to wait and see. The only way to prove Chin Ruorwo now is to let her write on the spot for everyone to see. Otherwise, she's a plagiarist. But Chin Ruorwo had always wanted to rely on this book to earn enough traffic and take the self-media route. She had never put in any effort from beginning to end. She posted one refined photo after another on Weibo and was more concerned with the compliments on her beauty. Now the website also realized what had happened, but it couldn't escape the sharp drop in market value and was deeply affected by the backlash of traffic. In a fit of anger, the boss directly fired Li Fei and took Qin Ruoruo to various drinking parties to ask for help. It was said that Qin Ruoruo was dressed up like a colorful butterfly, and it was hard to comment on the reasons. This website was just trying to make a last-ditch effort. My mother knew about the Shanghai Circle, and she had already asked all her friends to ignore them, and today, coincidentally, the person the boss was trying to ask for help from was my mother. When my mother showed me the invitation message sent by the other party, I almost burst out laughing. Honey, it's time to end this game. How about I just reject him directly and then contact a lawyer to sue? I smiled and stopped my mother. It's okay, Mom. Tell him to let Qin Ruoruo come to this drinking party. It's been a long time since I had a good talk with her. 10. A few days later, Qin Ruoruo, dressed up carefully, appeared in the hotel lobby, and Xuechen also came as her assistant. At that time, I was feeding the small fish by the rockery in the lobby. From a distance, I heard a sharp shout, Meng Weiwei. Xuechen took the lead and strode over, grabbing my arm. Why are you so persistent and followed us here again? His hand was gripping me so tightly that it hurt. I slapped it back without hesitation. Take your dirty hands away. Is this hotel owned by your family? Are you the only one who can come in? Meng Weiwei, do you know that this hotel costs 8,888 yuan per person? Do you deserve to stand here? Qin Ruoruo simply tore off all her disguises and stared at me with extreme hatred. You're just fated to live in a rental house. Your boyfriend doesn't love you either. You don't deserve anything good in this life. She spared no effort to attack me, thinking that saying these words would make me suffer. However, I just casually said one sentence. Anyway, today I'm standing here as a guest. And you, could it be that someone invited you to dinner too? You, Qin Ruoruo was immediately at a loss for words. Her chest heaved with anger, and she tried to calm down and sneered. A guest? It seems that you came to Shanghai to be someone's mistress. How could such a noble place let someone like you in? Funny. Do you know who I'm here to meet today? Ms. Feng Zhao. If you're ignorant, search it on the internet. I'm afraid your sugar daddy, no matter how powerful, is not as good as one finger of Ms. Feng. Xuechen immediately joined forces with Qin Ruoruo in hostility. That's right, Meng Weiwei, don't be overconfident. When you're played with and kicked out, you'll have a hard time. I looked at him expressionlessly. I remembered every word Xuechen said now. Today, I would make sure he came and didn't leave. Soon, something that left these two people dumbfounded appeared. After a while, my mother walked in vigorously with several assistants. Ah, Ms. Feng, I'm Ruoruo. I've long admired you. Qin Ruoruo immediately greeted her obsequiously to introduce herself, but my mother didn't even look at her. She walked straight up to me, took my hand, and rubbed it in her palm, asking extremely gently, Are you cold? What are you doing standing at the door? Go in and order. Don't you love this place the most? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Qin Ruoruo's expression froze. Ms. Feng, I deliberately imitated Qin Ruoruo's tone. You go in first. I'll be there later. My mother understood what I meant. She nodded and specially arranged 2 bodyguards for me before going up the stairs. What's going on? Qin Ruoruo immediately looked at Xuechen. Why does she seem to have such a good relationship with Feng Zhao? Could it be that Feng Zhao is her mother? Xuechen frowned and immediately denied it. How could it be? Does Meng Weiwei look like a rich lady with her shabby appearance? I heard that some rich women have very perverted hobbies. Maybe Feng Zhao. After getting older before Xuechen could finish speaking, I had already signaled the bodyguards with my eyes to take him aside and teach him a lesson. What are you doing? Are you going to hit people in broad daylight? I'm going to call the police. Help, come and save me. Xuechen was lifted out like a little chicken. He was soon so frightened that his voice was trembling. I'm here to meet an important person. She won't let you get away with treating me like this. However, these well-trained bodyguards turned a deaf ear. They specifically hit the places under his clothes, using heavy punches to punish his mouth that was full of wild rumors and foul language. Soon, blood oozed from the corner of Xuechen's mouth. He lay on the ground, dying, like a dead dog, and Qin Ruoruo glanced at him and then turned her face away in disgust. This boy was nothing more than a dispensable sycophant in her eyes. She had never been the least bit interested in Xuechen. What on earth are you to be able to cling to a rich woman, Meng Weiwei? I never thought you'd stoop so low. You're just playing the weak and pitiful card, aren't you? seeing my mother appear on the stairs and about to come down, Chinruoro was quick as a flash. She grabbed my hand and slapped herself hard, then she ran towards my mother, crying and shouting, "Ms. Feng, save me, this Meng Weiwei not only plagiarized my work before, but now she's threatening me and attacking me, please help me." 11. Chinruoro's heart-rending cries echoed throughout the entire lobby. She was disheveled, her face deathly pale, and her act was extremely convincing. Anyone who saw her would feel a bit of protective instinct. However, before she could reach my mother's hand, she was mercilessly blocked by the bodyguards. Chinruoro couldn't stop herself in time and fell to the ground. "Ms. Feng, please do justice for me. This Meng Weiwei is really hateful. She's not as innocent as she looks, in fact. Privately she dash." "Shut up," my mother spoke sharply. I had never seen her with such a terrifying expression. She glared at Chinruoro, a storm raging in her eyes. "So you're Chinruoro." Chinruoro was so frightened that her breath hitched, but she still didn't give up and weakly said, "Yes, it's me, ma'am. Please don't believe the online rumors. I've been framed." My mother sneered. "Do you know what my relationship with Meng Weiwei is?" Chinruoro's expression froze. At the same time, the boss of the website appeared at the hotel entrance at some point. He had clearly rushed over in a hurry, sweating profusely, and his two legs were constantly shaking. He stumbled in, and his voice was even more unpleasant than crying. "I'm sorry, Ms. Feng. I didn't know that Weiwei is your daughter. We were the ones who offended you." 12. At the end of that day, the boss threatened Chinruoro with paying an astronomical amount of liquidated damages and ordered her to kowtow to me and admit her mistake. Chinruoro was extremely reluctant, and the boss directly forced her head down to the ground. "So it was you little bitch, who caused all this trouble." I was wondering how Weiwei, a veteran top writer of our website, could be involved in such a thing. The boss gritted his teeth while rolling his eyes. "You shameless thing. You plagiarized others' creative works because you have no talent of your own. I was so stupid to believe in you. We were all played for fools by you." The more he talked, the angrier he got, and he directly grabbed Chinruoro's hair and slapped her twice. Chinruoro's face immediately swelled up, and she couldn't hold back and started crying bitterly. The boss immediately cursed. "You still have the nerve to cry. You did it but don't have the guts to admit it. You've smeared the reputation of our website. Who will dare to invest in us in the future? You're really a black sheep. If you don't have the ability, don't take on the task, and you even dared to frame others. I was really blind to have an author like you." I just sneered and watched them fight among themselves. I still remembered clearly what Li Fei, on behalf of the website, had done to me. Now he wanted to get himself off the hook. That was impossible. "You still have the nerve to show up here. Immediately go on Weibo and post an apology statement for me." The boss had obviously come here well prepared. He had already pre-edited a passage of text and forced Chinruoro to post it on Weibo, making her admit the fact of her plagiarism and publicly apologize to me. As soon as this Weibo was posted, it quickly set off a hot topic. Facing the finally confirmed truth that they had guessed, netizens were not only indignant but also extremely regretful. It was us who forced away a good author who wrote with her heart. The topics #apologize to Meng Weiwei and #ask Meng Weiwei to come back began to rise continuously. In the square, there were all my former book fans crying and recalling the scene when they first started following my books. Weiwei was really great. She insisted on updating 3 chapters every day, rain or shine. I was only in primary school at that time, and now I'm almost graduating from high school. I've read every one of her books. At that time, I didn't believe she would plagiarize or hire a ghostwriter. It's so sad. After she stopped writing, there's no substitute on the whole network. My spiritual food is gone. Weiwei, come back quickly. I've saved a lot of monthly tickets for you. I'll give them all to you." The boss presented his phone to my mother as if offering a precious treasure, thinking that my mother would let it go and help him make a comeback. However, facing the boss's calculating eyes, my mother just coldly dropped a sentence. "We've already prepared the evidence, your website, and this girl. Just wait for the lawsuit." 13. Not only did Chinruoro lose her reputation, but the story of Xue Chen and me was also sorted out by the fans and then posted. It turned out that Xue Chen had been chasing after Chinruoro for many years and was willing to do anything for his beloved goddess. It was he who single-handedly planned this plagiarizing scheme of substituting the real with the fake. Damn, this scumbag. He's having his cake and eating it too. I thought he was being just, but he was actually helping his white moonlight harm his own girlfriend. Damn it, is this still a human? He's a beast, he lives off others and harms them at the same time. He's so despicable, these two scumbags should be locked up and die. I've never seen such disgusting people. Sisters, I also found this scumbag's Weibo secondary account. He really has always been a traitor. The online violence and doxing that fell on me in my previous life were now returned to Chin Ruoro and Shuechen with even greater intensity, and because they had posted so many Weibo posts, their specific addresses were easily locked down. In my previous life, my boyfriend's White Moonlight plagiarized my novel, which was based on my own secret love story. He soon couldn't bear the burden and was forced to leave the hospital. He realized that licking his White Moonlight would get him nowhere. He tried to contact me several times to reconcile with me, but how could the indignant netizens give him a chance to breathe? He finally couldn't take care of himself. After paying off all the debts and going bankrupt, he slunk back to his hometown with a body full of ailments. As for Chin Ruoro, her situation was much worse. She had to deal with the lawsuit, bear the huge compensation demanded by the website, and endure the overwhelming online violence. She soon couldn't take it anymore and had a mental breakdown. One late night, when she saw the red paint splashed on the door again, she completely collapsed and jumped off the building. At that time, I, who had learned of all these things, was preparing a new website with my mother. We wanted to give every young person who loves creation an equal opportunity. Here, everyone can fully exert their imagination and write the stories they want to write. Let 100 flowers bloom and everyone speak freely. I think this is what literary creation should really be like. Story 2. For 10 years, I was treated like a pet canary. He never promised me a wedding until the day I died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 10 years earlier. To avoid the same nightmare, the first thing I did after my rebirth was to seek out his future archenemy. At that time, he was just a struggling mechanic. I slammed my bank card on the table. Marry me, and I'll give you my salary after we're married. He gritted his teeth and replied, if you pay me 3,000 a month, I'll agree. 1. I proposed to Jiang Jia. At that moment, he had a cigarette in his mouth. What do you see in me? I thought hard and managed to squeeze out, handsome, heh. His laugh made my face turn red, and I bravely asked, so, do you agree? Jiang Jia didn't speak, he just stared straight at me, as if he could see right through my little scheme. I met his gaze, hoping he could see my sincerity. After a long while, he smiled. Casually, he replied, a bride delivered right to my doorstep, why wouldn't I agree? So, I got married. On the second day after I traveled back, holding the little red marriage booklet, I still felt a deep sense of unreality. In my past life, I had actually met Jiang Jia. It was in the 7th year of being confined by Su Che. I had escaped from the villa, penniless. On the streets, I met Jiang Jia. By then, he was already a renowned businessman, dressed sharply. He exuded an aura of unapproachability. I begged him to save me. Jiang Jia arranged a place for me to stay and provided a ticket for me to leave. However, later on, I was still found by Su Che. Not wanting to recall that past, I looked up at Jiang Jia and asked, where to next? Taking you home. I was startled. Aren't we married? So you didn't plan to take me home? 2. Jiang Jia lived in an unopened residential area. The building was not yet completed. It was bustling with construction workers. I used to move bricks here, got a bit of a rapport with the contractor, so I stay here rent-free before it's handed over, he explained, perhaps noticing the confusion in my eyes. The house was in a raw industrial style, apart from a military bunk. There was nothing else inside. The bathroom lacked even a flushing toilet, just a tap for bathing. Jiang Jia looked at me. Regrets? You can still run away now. No regrets. I placed my luggage aside. We'll sleep here tonight. Isn't the bed a bit small? Jiang Jia squinted and responded, it's enough. At night, I lay on Jiang Jia's military bunk. He casually spread a couple of newspapers on the floor and lay down. The room had no curtains, and through the glass, the bright moonlight was visible. Jiang Jia, are you asleep? Worried that he would catch cold sleeping on the floor, I moved to one side of the bunk. Do you want to come up here? The bed is small, but we can manage if we squeeze in a bit. A few seconds later, Jiang Jia finally replied, if I come over, don't expect to get any sleep. I clutched the blanket tighter. I don't mind. As soon as I finished speaking, Jiang Jia, like a beast unleashed, flipped over and pounced on me. I didn't react in time and instinctively turned my head away. The weight on me lightened, and through the moonlight, I saw a mocking look on Jiang Jia's face. Don't say things you don't mean. I'm a straightforward person and tend to take things seriously. After saying that, he moved to lie back on the newspaper. Seeing his intention, I grabbed the hem of his shirt in one swift motion, my fingers touched his body through the gap. Jiangjia shivered all over, looking at me with a complex expression in his eyes. I bit my lip hard. I really am willing, afraid that he would refuse. I daringly scratched inside a little. Jiangjia's eyes darkened. Now, you've lost your chance. Unlike Su Che, who deliberately worked out in the gym to build his muscles, Jiangjia, who worked year-round, had a naturally tanned and firm body, full of strength. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and cried convulsively until he stopped. He roughly kissed away my tears and called me delicate in a dissatisfied tone, already in severe pain. He didn't offer comfort but instead criticized me for no reason. I was upset, turned over, and didn't want to look at him. He didn't bother with me either and got out of bed to do who knows what. I hugged the blanket, feeling more aggrieved as I thought about it. In my past life, Su Che kept me like a canary for 10 years. Only in death did I find liberation. I thought it was divine mercy, giving me a chance to start over. But Jiangjia seemed like a completely different person. As I was crying, suddenly a hot towel covered my face. Jiangjia had returned at some point, holding a basin and a hot towel. You've been crying. I denied it. No. Jiangjia roughly wiped my face, then turned to wring out the towel. What are you doing? There's no hot water in the house. Can't bathe, so this will make you feel a bit better. I was indeed feeling sticky. Putting aside my anger, I blushed and tried to grab the towel. I can do it myself. Stay put. Jiangjia ignored my attempt, lifted the blanket, and placed the steaming towel on me. After a while, I heard Jiangjia's voice. Don't be mad. I'll be gentler next time, okay? His voice had a hint of awkwardness. The warmth on my face slowly increased and I curled the corners of my mouth upward. I then covered my face with the blanket. The next day when I woke up, Jiangjia was already dressed neatly. There were 2 buns on the low table. I didn't know when he had gone out to buy them. The hot water is ready. I'll take you to work after you wash up. No need, I can go by myself. Jiangjia glanced at me. There are a lot of workers around here. It's not safe for you alone, he added. Call me after work. I'll pick you up. It took me a while to finish washing up before I noticed the bank card on the table. It was the one I gave to Jiangjia when I proposed to him yesterday. Don't forget the card, I said. Jiangjia glanced at it. Keep it yourself. I'm not so broke as to use a woman's money. Liar. He was clearly broke. Jiangjia didn't take it, and I didn't argue. I figured maybe I could use the savings in the card to change houses first. If Jiangjia didn't agree, at least we could get a new bed. Though it wasn't the golden house of my previous life, looking at Jiangjia gave me a sense of inexplicable security. This good mood lasted until I got to work. As soon as I entered the office, Lu Ying came over with a mysterious air. Xiaoxi, I have good news for you. She lowered her voice. My cousin has taken a fancy to you. Me. She mysteriously pulled me aside. My cousin is no ordinary man. He's super handsome and has a good personality, graduated from Cambridge. And his father is the richest man. Many wealthy heiresses have tried to get close to him, but he never cared. Yesterday, he suddenly asked me to set him up on a blind date with you. Lu Ying's eyes sparkled. Sister, your good days are coming. Graduated from Cambridge. Father is the richest man. A name suddenly popped into my mind. My face turned pale. I controlled my expression and declined as calmly as possible. I might have to apologize to your cousin. I'm not so fortunate. I'm married. Lu Ying didn't believe it. We've been colleagues for a year, and you've never even mentioned a partner. How could you suddenly be married? Really, we've registered. We haven't had the wedding yet, but I'll send you an invitation when we do. I smiled. I have classes soon. I better head to the classroom. After saying that, I quickly left. Not until I stepped out did I feel like I had lost all my strength. Su Che. He wasn't supposed to appear at this time in my last life. Why did he show up so much earlier? And how did he know I was teaching at the same school as Lu Ying? My hands and feet turned cold. I comforted myself. In this lifetime, I'm already married. I already have Jiangjia. I will definitely not make the same mistakes again. Su Che's premature arrival definitely affected my mood. I was distracted all day. My right eyelid kept twitching. It felt like something was about to happen. Sure enough, just as I was leaving school after work, I saw a black car parked at the gate. The car emblem was conspicuous. Seeing me, the man in the car stepped out, holding a bunch of roses. Miss Chen, he called out to me, introducing himself with a smile. Sorry to disturb you. I am Su Che, Lu Ying's cousin. Outside, the school was filled with students and parents picking up their children. Su Che's bouquet of roses was both striking and bold. Some people recognized me and began to lead applause. They cheered, urging me to accept him. My face turned pale. What do you want? Don't be nervous. I just wanted to get to know you, Suche said with a slight smirk. I happened to see you once while waiting for Lu Ying and took an immediate liking to you, so today I came uninvited. Don't feel pressured, just think of it as making a new friend. Even though Suche acted convincingly, I still sensed a hint of madness in his eyes, feeling helpless. I suddenly spotted Jiang Jie in the corner. He was straddling a beaten-up motorcycle, a cigarette dangling from his lips, and he was glancing at me with a detached air. It was as if a drowning person had finally spotted a lifeline, and I rushed towards him. The familiar scent of motor oil on Jiang Jie helped me regain my composure. I turned to Suche and said, I've already explained to Lu Ying that I'm married. Suche clearly didn't expect that I was married. His smile froze. His gaze drifted to Jiang Jie, and a flash of hatred appeared in his eyes. He masked it quickly, but I caught it sharply. But why hatred? This was his first time meeting Jiang Jie. Why would he feel hatred? Suche quickly masked his expression and adjusted his mood. I was presumptuous, not having looked into Miss Chen's personal circumstances beforehand. Since I've already bought the flowers, I won't take them back. Let me just wish you a happy marriage. Then he extended them towards me. Flowers for a beautiful lady. I hope your husband doesn't mind. Before I could speak, Jiang Jie suddenly laughed. Who says I don't mind? He looked at Suche. I'm petty and can't stand seeing my beautiful wife accepting gifts from someone else. After saying that, Jiang Jie placed a pink helmet on my head, put it on, looking at the brand new helmet. I inexplicably felt better. I couldn't help but ask, did you buy this especially for me? Picked it up from the trash. I grinned. Next time, can you pick up a blue one? I like blue. Jiang Jie raised an eyebrow, pretending to take the helmet back. I hurriedly tightened it and tapped my finger on it twice. Does it look good? Jiang Jie's eyes twinkled with amusement as he pulled down the front visor of the helmet. Then he said, idiot. Turning around, Suche had already left. After today's incident, everyone knew my husband was a mechanic. During the break, I overheard a few teachers discussing, he may be handsome, but he still ended up with that kind of husband. Did you see his motorcycle? It's so beat up, sounds like a tractor. Then everyone burst into laughter. Seeing me enter, someone deliberately asked, Xiaoxi, where does your husband fix cars? My husband just bought a Mercedes. We'll bring it to him for maintenance to support his business. Sure. I'll send you the address later. Lu Ying couldn't stand it anymore and dragged me out of the office. Are you out of your mind? They're mocking you to your face, and you don't talk back. You're attractive and have a decent job. Why would you settle for? Lu Ying paused, then spoke frankly. Don't take this the wrong way, but you were just deceived fresh out of college. You always think love can outweigh the need for bread, but you'll regret it later. Honestly, consider my cousin. He doesn't mind that you've been married before. Lu Ying, that's a nice bag. I interrupted Lu Ying, my gaze landing on the Hermes on her desk. Is it new? Lu Ying paused, her face flushing slightly. Yeah, Lu Ying is just a salaried worker. It was clear who gave her the bag and why. I didn't press further. My husband and I are doing well. How we live our lives is our business. Let's not talk about him anymore. I don't like it. That day after work, Jiang Jie surprisingly didn't come on his motorcycle. Where's your bike? I sold it. Jiang Jie didn't elaborate, just hooked up the corner of his mouth and said, let's go. He pulled me along, but in a different direction than usual. I wasn't sure what Jiang Jie was up to, but after walking about a few hundred meters, we stopped near a residential area close to my school, 3rd floor. Let's go up and have a look. I had a hunch but couldn't quite believe it. Reluctantly, I made my way to the 3rd floor where the door of the middle apartment was wide open. Stepping inside, I found a cozy 2-bedroom apartment. It was small, but the decor was exceptionally warm. The curtains, the color of the sky, fluttered slightly in the breeze. The setting sun poured through the window, filling the room with a golden glow. He remembered I liked blue. I can't describe how I felt. I've lived 2 lifetimes, in luxurious villas and in rundown bare-shell buildings, but at that moment, my heart seemed to be filled with joy. You sold the motorbike to rent this place. Homes in the school district, though old, were not cheap. Jiang Jie's finances probably couldn't cover the hefty rent, not mentioning the motorcycle. He simply said, it's close to your school, makes commuting easier. Besides, the other place didn't have hot water. You couldn't have handled that. Before he could finish, I turned and hugged Jiang Jie's waist, taken aback by my sudden embrace. He paused for a moment before his arms wrapped around my back. All right, it's not time for tears yet. Cry for me tonight, okay? it wasn't serious. That night, Jiangjia indeed made me cry, and as he held me, he kissed the corner of my mouth, his face radiating contentment. My wife was right, a double bed is indeed much better than a single. We should have moved earlier. When did I ever say that? I held back, resisting the urge to kick him out. The next day, a weekend, Jiangjia and I had planned to go get some things from the old bear shell house, but in the afternoon, Jiangjia hadn't returned home. I might not make it today, there's some trouble at the factory, he called to tell me. I didn't think much of it, then I'll go alone. It wasn't much, just a suitcase. Jiangjia's place was in disarray, and I didn't catch his response before hanging up. Jiangjia never used to let me go there alone. The situation arose mainly because there were too many workers around, and Jiangjia always felt unsafe. However, since it was broad daylight, picking something up seemed harmless. Unexpectedly, as soon as I entered the room, 3 or 4 workers followed me in. Is the young lady living here by herself? A chill ran through my heart. Who are you? Get out. We work here. How can we just leave? The leader among them laughed. We've seen you hanging around here like a man, having quite the wild time. How about you join us for some fun? The room was too empty, and I couldn't find anything to defend myself with. Gritting my teeth, I turned and ran towards the outside. The man reacted quickly, grabbing my hair and throwing me to the ground. You have a nice figure. I've been craving you for a long time, waiting for today. As he spoke, he pressed down on me. I struggled desperately, screaming wildly, just as his hand was about to touch my clothes. The door was suddenly kicked open. The man on top of me was struck and fell to the ground. The other 2 workers moved to help. I'm the developer of this place. Are you sure you want to mess with me? The 3 men looked at each other, assessing the truth of that statement. After a moment, they cursed and ran off. Suche took off his suit jacket and covered me with it, then spoke to his assistant standing by. Find these people, and handle it as you see fit. The assistant nodded and left. Suche then looked down. Do you remember me? My hand tightened around the fabric. I don't. Returning the jacket to him, I picked up my suitcase. Thanks for your help today. As I walked past him, Suche suddenly grabbed my wrist. You seem very afraid of me. We're not close. Why should I be afraid of you? That's true. Suche released me. What brings you here? If I'm not mistaken, this building isn't even finished yet. It's none of your business. True. But I'm the developer of this land. Suche stared at me. What if I sue Jiangjia for illegal residency, using that as a pretext? What do you really want? I want you. Suche made no effort to hide his intentions. Chen Xiaoxi, I've told you from the start, I want you. I've also said, I'm married. That's not my concern. I pressed my lips tightly together. He bent down to meet my gaze. That man can't give you the life you desire. You're a pearl that shouldn't be gathering dust in his hands. It's your choice whether you want your man to end up in jail, or to live a superior life with me. I tightened my grip on my suitcase and turned to leave. This time, Suche didn't stop me, until I was out of the neighborhood. Only then did I realize my whole body was trembling uncontrollably. 3 workers following me inside, and Suche's timely, heroic rescue. I simply couldn't believe this was all a coincidence. Living this life again, Suche was still the same. Anything he desired, he would stop at nothing to obtain. I called Jiangjia several more times. No one was answering on the other side. It wasn't until the sky began to darken that I sensed something was amiss. Since our marriage, Jiangjia had never come home this late. I rushed directly to the factory where he worked. The place was in complete disarray. I stopped an uncle who was cleaning. Do you know where Jiangjia is? Little Jiang. He's gone to the hospital. I was stunned, wondering why he would be at a hospital. The uncle shook his head. It's a misfortune. He encountered some unreasonable thugs. By the time I got the address and arrived at the hospital, Jiangjia was already being wheeled out of the examination room. His face bore 2 streaks of blood, and his right arm was secured with a plaster cast. His muddy clothes were spotted with red. My tears couldn't be held back any longer. Jiangjia, why are you here? He walked over and wiped my face with his other hand. There, I'm not dead, am I? No need for tears, even at a time like this. He still spoke so lightly. I felt a bit annoyed and was about to speak when I suddenly heard someone exclaim, Holy shit, brother Jia, your wife is gorgeous, like a fairy. Then he muttered, no wonder you don't hang out with us at night anymore. If I had a wife this beautiful, I wouldn't go out either. It was then that I noticed a young man standing behind Jiangjia. He was young and staring straight at me. His gaze was clear, making him hard to dislike. His frank compliment made me somewhat embarrassed, yet Jiangjia, in a good mood, curved his lips and said, Stay away from my wife. After asking the doctor and learning that besides a minor fracture in the right hand, all other injuries were superficial, I felt somewhat relieved. How did you get hurt like this? Before Jiangjia could speak, the boy blurted out, we ran into an unreasonable jerk today. There was nothing wrong with the car, but he insisted that Jia had messed it up and demanded compensation. Of course, we disagreed, so he brought a bunch of guys to smash up the shop. Didn't you call the police? What's the use? That guy clearly has connections, a license plate with 5/8. Only someone with power and money could afford that, 5/8. Suddenly something clicked. What kind of car was it? A black Hummer. The boy continued to sigh. Now that we've angered such a big shot, what are we going to do? Jia, do you think the boss will hold this against us? I didn't catch what was said next. All I could see was darkness before my eyes. It was Suche again. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my cheek. I winced in pain and looked directly into Jiangjia's teasing eyes. Seeing his carefree demeanor, I felt puzzled. Aren't you worried? Worried about what? About, what comes next? Jiangjia scoffed. Worst comes to worst, I'll just quit. What can they really do to me? Then he smirked. Besides, I still have my wife to support me. 3,000 a month, handing over my salary, right? He was referring to when I proposed to him. My cheeks flushed again. With a soft I said, I'll give you all my money. Jiangjia flicked my forehead with his finger and called me a fool. Jiangjia was fired. I overheard the garage owner on the phone with him, saying, I'm sorry about this, but the other party is too influential, and I'm powerless. Jiangjia, smoking a cigarette, was expressionless. After hanging up the phone, he called out to me, wife. I thought he was going to discuss his dismissal with me. Just as I was thinking about how to comfort him, he said, I think I smell bad, help me take a bath. I was puzzled, looking up. I saw no signs of dejection in Jiangjia, and now a bath. My face turned a deep red. Why do you always think about these things? What things? Jiangjia raised an eyebrow. I just need help with the bath water because I can't get my right hand wet due to the cast. Then he whispered in my ear, or, do you have other ideas? Speak them out. Even if it costs me an arm, I'd go to great lengths to satisfy you. Annoyed and embarrassed, I forgot about his unemployment and stormed off to the bathroom. I could still hear his cheerful laughter behind me. However, during the bath, Jiangjia noticed something that happened to me during the day. His hand gently gripped my neck, and he frowned. What happened here? Only then did I notice the blood mark and several clear scratch marks on my neck, likely from struggling earlier in the day. I hastily covered it with my hair. It was an accident, Jiangjia scoffed. You accidentally choked and scratched yourself, unable to hide it, I confessed. I went to the unfinished building to get something and someone followed me. Seeing Jiangjia's face darken instantly, I quickly explained, but nothing bad happened. Someone saved me. Jiangjia didn't respond. We stood frozen in place. In the cramped bathroom, the steamy mist faded, and a chill brushed against our skins. I shivered. Jiangjia then realized and wrapped me in a towel. About these things. What things? Jiangjia raised an eyebrow. I just need help with the bath water because I can't get my right hand wet due to the cast. Then he whispered in my ear, or, do you have other ideas? Speak them out. Even if it costs me an arm, I'd go to great lengths to satisfy you. Annoyed and embarrassed, I forgot about his unemployment and stormed off to the bathroom. I could still hear his cheerful laughter behind me. However, during the bath, Jiangjia noticed something that happened to me during the day. His hand gently gripped my neck, and he frowned. What happened here? Only then did I notice the blood mark and several clear scratch marks on my neck, likely from struggling earlier in the day. I hastily covered it with my hair. It was an accident, Jiangjia scoffed. You accidentally choked and scratched yourself, unable to hide it, I confessed. I went to the unfinished building to get something and someone followed me. Seeing Jiangjia's face darken instantly, I quickly explained, but nothing bad happened. Someone saved me. Jiangjia didn't respond. We stood frozen in place. In the cramped bathroom, the steamy mist faded, and a chill brushed against our skins. I shivered. Jiangjia then realized and wrapped me in a towel. I tugged at his hand. Are you angry? I shouldn't have let you go alone. Regret and concern were evident in his eyes, but the fault was clearly mine. I couldn't hold back anymore and blurted out everything I knew. It was all Suche's doing. He's the one who sent roses to me at school. The Hummer was his. He deliberately smashed the shop to trouble you, and he was the one who waited to rescue me. He even knew where we lived and said he would sue you. I don't know why he's so fixated on me. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, I couldn't continue and broke down sobbing. I wanted to cry out all the grievances of my past and present. I never provoked Suche. Why won't he let me go? Seeing my distress, Jiangjia wiped my face with the towel. Why do you always shed tears so easily? Aren't you mad at me? Mad at you for what? For being beautiful. For having a charm that thieves can't resist on the street. How could he? His words dissipated the heavy emotions I felt, and I sniffled. Jiangjia, do you regret it? I asked. Regret what? Marrying me. Instead of answering, Jiangjia countered, what about you? Do you regret marrying a mechanic who had nothing and now has even lost his job? I shook my head vigorously. If my wife doesn't regret it, why should I give a damn? He replied. A smile touched the corners of Jiangjia's eyes. My wife, not even impressed by the richest son, chose a nobody like me. She's willing to be with me. Even if it means pitching in financially, what do I have to complain about? Hearing this, I felt tears welling up again. In fact, I did start crying. I nestled into Jiangjia's embrace. I love you. Jiangjia stiffened, not expecting my declaration. He pulled me tightly against him and with a hoarse voice, he murmured, your man is right here. After that day, Jiangjia became very busy. Despite being jobless, he was out early and came back late every day. I didn't know what he was up to, but it was probably also because he was shaken up by something that had happened to Suche. Even though we moved next to the school, he insisted on picking me up and dropping me off every day. Just stay with the other teachers at school and don't wander around. Got it? I felt like laughing. I'm not a kindergarten kid, I'm not that fragile. Jiangjia grinned, but you are to me. Lately, though, Jiangjia's social obligations seemed to have increased. Sometimes, when he couldn't make it, he asked a colleague he met at the hospital to help out. Feeling embarrassed, I told the guy, it's just a short distance, I can walk on my own. Don't bother next time. That won't do. The guy grinned. I've sworn to complete the task Jiangjia gave me. Besides, a fairy like you needs to be looked after. Unable to persuade the guy, I turned to Jiangjia. Keep this up, and everyone will start calling you a henpecked husband. Jiangjia didn't seem to mind and retorted, I love pampering my wife. What's it to them? It left me both crying and laughing. Then, one day at work, Lu Ying pulled me aside, looking all secretive, and showed me her phone. Isn't this your husband? I looked and saw Jiangjia drinking with a woman who was strikingly beautiful. Besides Jiangjia, there were 4 or 5 men around the woman. The room was dimly lit, and Jiangjia's expression was unclear, but it was indeed him. My friend snapped this at the bar, and I thought the guy looked like him. Lu Ying said, watching me closely, I heard he got fired from the garage and now he's just a thug. Look at him, reduced to entertaining women for drinks. Is this your so-called true love? You better watch out, don't catch any diseases. Are you done? I asked, my face darkening. Lu Ying, you keep bad-mouthing my husband, taking photos, and stirring up trouble to push us toward divorce. You know very well what your intentions are. What exactly did Suche offer you to? Just because I don't say anything doesn't mean I don't understand. From now on, unless it's about work, please don't come to see me alone. After saying this, I walked into the office. A little while later, Lu Ying entered. Her eyes were red. I faintly heard some colleagues comforting her, suggesting that I was ungrateful. That evening, Jiangjia came home very late. You just got back. Yes, I sniffed. You've been drinking. Jiangjia playfully rubbed his face against mine. Are you annoyed with me? Huh. I dodged with a laugh, and Jiangjia pulled me into his arms, sighed deeply. You've had it tough these days. I hugged him back and shook my head. The next morning, I noticed a scent of perfume on Jiangjia's shirt. There was a faint lipstick mark on the cuff. Thinking of the photo Lu Ying showed me, my heart felt sour. If possible, I would rather Jiangjia were just a mechanic. Days went by like this, but I never expected that one day, I would actually catch Jiangjia with another woman. That day I was out shopping with some fellow teachers. We passed by an expensive Western restaurant. Suddenly, a teacher tugged at my bag and asked uncertainly, Xiaoxi, doesn't that man look a bit like your husband? I looked over, and the man was sitting by the window. Opposite him was a woman with meticulous makeup. My heart sank. It wasn't just a resemblance, it was him. I looked pale, and my colleagues, sensing something was wrong, forced a laugh. It must be a business meeting. They seemed to be talking normally. I just hummed, not wanting to look anymore. Let's go. As I turned around, my colleague suddenly screamed and grabbed me. Xiaoxi, your husband. My heart tightened. Then I heard her say, he hit that woman. Me. I turned back quickly, just in time to see Jiangjia had flipped the table over. He looked down disdainfully at the pale-faced woman, his mouth curled in mockery. I hurried over, just in time to hear Jiangjie say, "With that look of yours, still coveting me, what are you thinking?" Then he walked out imposingly, and we locked eyes. The man, who had just been as proud as a little lion, didn't expect to see me and immediately deflated. "Wife." Then he frowned and began to explain, "I don't hit women. It was just an accident, my legs are long." I accidentally knocked over the table. I burst out laughing. "I'm not blaming you." Jiangjie breathed a sigh of relief. His lips twitched as he took my hand. "Shall we go home then?" It was only when we got home that I learned that Jiangjie had been dealing with Su Che's sister these days. Her sales job was just a cover. She actually wanted to get close to his sister. Jiangjie scoffed. "Su Jiejie, she's quite wild, especially likes young men. And has done plenty of ridiculous things privately." I got close to her recently, reached out to their dark connections, and got a lot of information. They sold everything to their rival company. It's expected to make the headlines tomorrow. Although it's not a significant event, it's enough to throw the Su family into chaos for a while. With the Su family busy cleaning up their mess, Su Che probably won't have time to bother you. You did all this just to keep Su Che off my back. In a few days, I might need to go to Shenzhen. I won't be at ease if I don't block Su Che's path. Hearing that Jiangjie was leaving, I immediately felt reluctant to let him go. "Why are you suddenly going out? How long will you be gone?" "Maybe a week or so. If this trip goes well, I might have to travel frequently in the future." So, what Jiangjie was actually busy with all this time was a transport company. I got to know some routes while fixing cars. Rented a few trucks to start with some runs. I didn't know much at first and had to do everything myself. He rubbed my head vigorously. "Wait for me to come back." On the day Jiangjie left, I still slipped my bank card into his pocket. It contained 70,000 yuan, all the savings I had amassed over the years, my entire fortune. I left a note: "You should always carry money when you're outside. The pin is our birthdays. Come back safely." After Jiangjie went on his business trip, the affair concerning Su Jiejie indeed hit the headlines. Manipulated by others, it even dragged out other issues, a major scandal among the elite, sparking fervent public discussion. Su Che, stretched too thin, indeed did not show up again. My days became easier. At the end of the term, the selection for outstanding teachers began. Each school had only one spot. Based on preliminary research, the school had planned to nominate me, but on the day the results were announced, the name listed was Lu Ying. The school leadership was in a difficult position and talked to me, saying it was directed from above. Everyone understood the underlying reasons. Leaving the principal's office, I saw Lu Ying. Since the photo incident, we had little contact. Lu Ying hummed lightly beside me and walked past without saying anything. Initially, this didn't cause any ripples in my heart, but later that night, while video calling with Jiangjie, I couldn't hold back my grievances. I pouted, trying hard not to cry. Jiangjie noticed something was off. "What's wrong?" Not wanting to worry him, I said, "Just watched a movie that made me feel choked up." Jiangjie chuckled. "Silly." After hanging up, I vigorously slapped my own face, mocking myself for regressing. In my previous life, my father was wrongfully imprisoned, my mother was driven to severe illness, and I never shed a tear. Yet now, over such a trivial matter, I ended up crying in front of Jiangjie. In the middle of the night, just as I was dozing off, I suddenly heard the sound of the door lock. My heart tightened, worried it might be Su Che causing trouble. I picked up a baseball bat and stood behind the door, waiting. The next second, the door opened. I swung the baseball bat. The person seemed prepared, caught it with a countermove, and then I heard a familiar teasing voice. "What? Keeping a lover outside, ready to murder your own husband?" Surprised. Honey, how did you come back? My wife is feeling down. As her husband, I should be at home with her. How did you know I was feeling down? I'm not clueless. Did you really think your acting could fool me?" The tears I had been holding back fell once again. Jiangjie sighed. Such a crybaby. Jiangjie came back just for one night and left early the next morning on the high-speed train. I didn't want him to go. He kissed my forehead. "I've already registered the company in Shenzhen recently. You can come and see me during the summer break." I nodded vigorously and began to count the days on my fingers. Half a month passed. School was out. I couldn't wait and bought a ticket to Shenzhen. It was only when Jiangjie drove me to his company that I realized it was different from what I had imagined. I thought Jiangjie was just involved in regular transportation, managing a few trucks, but when I actually saw it, I realized it was a logistics company integrating e-commerce and express delivery services. It wasn't very large, but but it had already taken on a lot of business. I was so surprised I couldn't speak. How did you come up with this idea? I remember in my previous life, Jiang Jia never came to Shenzhen. He was just an ordinary mechanic, later recognized by a foreign enterprise boss and jumped to a multinational automotive group. Then he left to lead his own research and development team, specializing in chip development. That's where he made his first pot of gold. Gradually, the business of automotive chips grew larger, and now, Jiang Jia's fate has changed because of me. He left the repair shop earlier than planned and never had the chance to meet that boss. He even moved to Shenzhen to start a logistics business. The e-commerce industry has been growing rapidly here in Shenzhen in recent years, and logistics is a gap in the market. Since I know a bit about cars, I invested the money I made previously into this to give it a try. What Jiang Jia didn't mention was that although we lived in Ben City before, the leading enterprises there were still dominated by the Su family-led group. In that environment, the resistance he would face in starting a business was imaginable. He had to venture out for my sake. On one hand, I felt sorry for him, but I couldn't help but admire his foresight, because I believe that the logistics company Jiang Jia started will surely become an indispensable link in the e-commerce sector of Shenzhen. Jiang Jia had rented an apartment in advance. It was a small 2-bedroom, about the same size as our house in Ben City but 3 times the price. The cost of living is high here, and all my money has gone into the company, Jiang Jia said with a rare hint of embarrassment. I've used the money in your account. It was yours to begin with. Jiang Jia kissed the corner of my mouth. In the future, my salary will all be yours. The company was registered, and naturally, he couldn't keep running back and forth. I didn't have much affection for Ben City. After discussing with Jiang Jia, I decided to resign and move to Shenzhen. I stayed until the school term started, then went back to school to handle my resignation. By then, Jiang Jia's logistics company had begun to take shape, and as a pioneering entrepreneur, he was even invited for a few interviews. An old colleague who once talked about getting Jiang Jia to maintain a Mercedes-Benz came over to greet me when she saw me. We saw your husband on TV the other day. I always said Jiang Jia had potential, and look, he's really made something of himself now. Another colleague joined in. We must say, Xiaoxi has unique insight. If you know any other outstanding young people, you should introduce them to us too. I scanned the crowd gathered around me. They were the same group who had talked behind Jiang Jia's back that year. I didn't want to have too much to do with them. Just as I was about to exit the school gates, I suddenly heard someone calling my name. It was Lu Ying, dressed in a black uniform skirt. She quickly approached me. Her tone was somewhat stiff as she immediately said, I previously took advantage of some small benefits to pair you up with my cousin, and I owe you an apology. I pursed my lips. No need to apologize to me. Wait, Lu Ying grabbed my hand. Xiaoxi, I'm sorry, I was forced to do it. After hearing those words, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself lying on a bed. The mattress was soft, the room was spacious, with roses blooming outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. This was the villa I had lived in for 10 years. My mind was momentarily confused. I couldn't distinguish the events of these 2 lives. Could it be that I hadn't died? Was I still in the villa, and everything had just been a dream? While I was lost in my thoughts, the door to the room was pushed open. Su Che entered. Awake, I subconsciously tried to get up, only to find myself completely weak and unable to muster any strength. Stop struggling, you can't move. I thought of Lu Ying before I passed out. Is it you, Su Che? Do you realize that depriving someone of their freedom is illegal? After I spoke, Su Che burst out laughing as if he had heard a joke. Depriving freedom, Chen Xiaoxi, you were always mine. He approached me, his eyes filled with obsessive madness. You don't understand, we have always been a couple, living right here. At that moment, I finally understood why, despite my careful avoidance, I still couldn't escape Su Che. It turns out, he was reborn too. I calmed down completely. Always a couple, Su Che. Every day I spent with you felt like an eternity. It was worse than death. If it hadn't been for your threats about my parents, why would I ever live here with you? Hearing my words, his face filled with shock. You, that's right, I remember everything from before. I looked at Su Che. So in this lifetime, I won't give you any chance to hurt me again. How could I bear to hurt you? No, Xiaoxi, you love me. We were together for 10 years. It was my fault. I shouldn't have left you alone in that villa. Otherwise you wouldn't have. He didn't finish his sentence, but I knew. He meant to say otherwise I wouldn't have died. Hearing this, I wanted to laugh. Su Che, don't you understand? Why after my parents died, I still stayed by your side. It was because I was gathering evidence, to avenge my parents. I have to see you go to prison. How else could I be satisfied? You wanted to know why your company's secrets were leaked, why those dirty deeds you thought were perfect were known to the police. It was all because of me. My goal is to make you pay for your crimes. Enough, not enough. I decided to spill it all at once. After you went to prison, the fire was set by me. I wanted you to lose everything, including everything you touched. They already tainted me. Why did I love you so much? In my previous life, I refused Suche's pursuit. He tricked my father into taking a high-interest loan and then forced me to be with him. My father didn't want me to suffer and turned himself in. My mother, overwhelmed with anger and deteriorating health, was cut off from medical resources by Suche, forcing me to move into the villa. I looked at Suche and coldly laughed. Love. You don't even deserve to speak of it. After saying that, I got up from the bed, moving my restricted limbs. Suche was stunned. How can you? How can I move? I looked at him emotionlessly. In my last life, you drugged me, causing me to lose my honor to you. How could I make the same mistake twice? With that, I signaled outside. Hidden police officers broke through the door. Suche was frantic, still pleading with me. Xiaoxi, let's forget everything and start over, okay? I don't care about what you did. I forgive you, I said softly as I saw Jiangjia slowly appearing at the door. I quickly ran over. As I passed by Suche, I whispered, but I don't forgive you. Suche was taken away, feeling as if all my strength had left me. I collapsed into Jiangjia's arms. Husband, is there anything you want to ask me? Jiangjia shook his head. It's all in the past. Yes, it was all in the past. All the rights and wrongs had nothing to do with me anymore. From now on, I am simply Jiangjia's wife. When you have time, can we go visit my parents? I asked. Jiangjia smiled slightly and replied, sure. From the first day of my rebirth, I found an excuse to have my parents leave Bin City and return to their rural hometown. They retired early, and life was quite comfortable. They didn't know about my marriage to Jiangjia, and I didn't dare tell them. During the new year, Jiangjia brought lots of goods to my parents' house to celebrate the new year and, incidentally, to ask for their blessing for our marriage. In March of the same year, we finally held our wedding. Having lived 2 lifetimes, it was the first time I wore a wedding dress. Jiangjia's parents had passed away, and he had grown up without any relatives. Only my parents came from both sides. As the man bowed and served tea, calling out Mom and Dad, I clearly saw the tears in his eyes. Somehow, I suddenly thought of my previous life. When I died, Jiangjia was nearly 40 and still alone. He had never been involved in any scandals. He seemed more like a celestial being, pure and detached from earthly desires. If you hadn't married me, what kind of wife would you have looked for? I couldn't help but ask Jiangjia that night. I don't know. Jiangjia pondered for a moment. Maybe I wouldn't have looked for anyone. I got used to being alone. Then why did you accept my proposal? Hearing this, Jiangjia seemed to reminisce. Something came to mind, and he smiled. He said, at that time, I thought having someone else would be nice. Moreover, a beautiful wife like you. I widened my eyes. So, were you swayed by my looks? Probably not, since you also had the bank card. Jiangjia tried not to laugh. I was tempted by the money, too. Seeing me pout, Jiangjia kissed me on the forehead. Thank you, wife, for giving me a home. No, it should be me thanking Jiangjia. Living twice, I finally found true love.